Sorry about that. I hit the wrong button. I accidentally hit the wrong thing and it deleted everything. I am horribly sorry. Give everybody a chance to get over here. That was horrible. That was absolutely horrible. They're still talking in the other live even though it's ended. So let's give them just a minute. Sorry, sorry, sorry. I was trying to cancel the one that was scheduled for 9:30 and it canceled me talking. So it's good to see you, C. Smith. Haven't seen you in a while. Thank you. Sorry, my bad. I did that. That's all on me. I hit the wrong button. And they're still in there talking. Oh, hopefully they realize that that live has ended. Sorry, I'm typing, guys. I'll still get to you. Okay, there you go. Sorry, that was my bad. I was trying to end the 9:30 one because it kept saying 9:30, and I kicked myself out. I ended it. I could see you guys chatting on my phone. That was all on me. Okay, so it looks like now you're in both. The other one should be gone. Is it not gone yet? Because I ended it. Oops. Okay, I live and learn. Yeah, it does say that it's still going. What on earth is going on? This is crazy. Hmm. Anyway, let's get back to what we were talking about. Anyway, it looks like Cole probably did a plea deal. I don't know why it says two are live. Anyway, crazy. We're just going to go on. Hi to everyone. Also, if you just came in, it looks like Cole did a plea deal. You tell me what you think. It's written right here. And so if you follow the website, this is where he signed waiver of his preliminary examination on December 18th. And right here, waived the maximum of life suspended all but 30. Can we assume that's a plea deal? Or was the attorney not paying attention and wrote it on court papers? Chorus, like, who knows? I've never seen a plea deal written to the side like that. Has any of you? Because I haven't. But it very well could be a plea deal. I'm not going to say it absolutely is or that it's absolutely not. Not sure. But I find it strange that it's written on here. Sorry about the other one, guys. It was for 9:30. It was for 9:30. Sorry about that. But I was able to get in early again. For those of you who just got here, 18 years it took for Oklahoma to do an execution. A guy got executed today, this morning, as a matter of fact. I heard everybody talking, said that the family not so much wanted uh, the death penalty, that would be too easy. That's what we hear they said. And I mean, the guy they just put down, they gave him a Xanax last night, a 1 milligram Xanax last night, and a 1 milligram Xanax this morning at 5:45. And he had chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, green beans, and something else, and a cheeseburger and fries with ketchup. So, and then I want to say it was like 9:05 this morning. Let's see here. I'll play it for you guys just to show you that sometimes the death penalty is rough too because it takes them forever, and then the family, they come back and for the them to be put to death and have to relive it all over again 18 years later. That's pretty rough. And I'm going to show you guys a couple other things too, but I'm not going to keep you on here forever and a day.
I believe an assistant attorney general.
I'll back it up.
Questions, she will read a brief statement. So if you would just respect that, we appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, good morning. I'll read a brief statement and take whatever questions you have. Today, the Oklahoma Department of Corrections carried out the court-ordered sentence of inmate Kevin Ray Underwood. Inmate Underwood received his last meal at 5:40 p.m. on December 18, 2024, and elected not to have a chaplain present in the execution room. The execution process began at 10:04 a.m., and inmate Underwood was declared unconscious at 10:09. He was pronounced deceased at 10:14. Today's event, the circumstances that led to it have affected many people, especially the family of 10-year-old Jamie Rose Boland. And as an agency, we carried out the court orders according to our high standards of professionalism and respect for those in our custody, ensuring dignity and for everyone in the process. A couple other data points. His last meal, chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes and gravy, pinto beans and a hot roll, cheeseburger and fries with ketchup. And then he also had a cola-free canteen. Another data point. So typically we offer sedatives to all the inmates during this process. They're rarely taken. Inmate Underwood did take Xanax, a 1 milligram dose at 9:49 last night, and another 1 milligram dose at 5:46 this morning. And as most of you witnessed, his last words primarily were remorseful and expressed apologies to the victims and his own family. That concludes my statement. You guys have any questions?
Was the inmate pretty cooperative with the execution team in terms of the IV insertion?
He actually was. He's very cooperative, and during the whole process of where we get him in the room, strap him down, the conversation was cordial. Yeah, he was easy to deal with.
I'm just going to say he was on Xanax. Like, I bet he was cordial.
This morning.
Didn't have any issues?
None. No issues.
No issues with him or issues with the procedure either?
No, I mean, to be honest, we thought we might have issues getting the IV placement this morning, and none of that happened. So it really was pretty textbook for us. You bet. Anything else? All right. Thanks, guys.
I'm going to agree with you. And they probably went through the torture every 2 to 3 years through the entire 18 years. That's why the DP is not a good sentence for the families of the victims. Give them life without parole. Yeah, I agree. This is Oklahoma. This is an inmate. He, I don't remember how old the girl was. I should have looked that up. I want to say she was like 10, but it was cannibalism. Let me see if I can fast forward it. I didn't watch the whole thing on the report here. This is the family.
To the Office of the Attorney General and the hard work and determination demonstrated by the prosecutors and investigators and all involved who have not only held the responsible party accountable, but have also provided a sense of closure for our grieving family. We would also like to send out a heartfelt thanks to Greg Mashburn, who has been with us since the beginning. This does not bring our Jamie back, but it does allow the space in our hearts to focus on her and allow the healing process to begin.
That's their audio.
Greg Mashburn, I'm the elected district attorney in District 21. I just want to say that today justice was done for Jamie, and I'm hopeful that now that this process is over, that the family will be able to not worry about Kevin Underwood or think about him anymore, that they'll be able to remember Jamie and all the joy that she brought to you and your family. I again commend all the hard work that went into this case, from all the officers on the scene that looked for Jamie and did the traffic stops and all the things that needed to be done to catch Kevin Underwood, and from the Purcell Police Department, the Sheriff's Office, the FBI, all the hard work that went into this case, the work of the jury that heard the evidence and had to make this decision, the Attorney General's office, General Drummond and his staff were fantastic to work with throughout this process, and I'm thankful that justice was able to be done for Jamie, and that this chapter is closed for the family.
Greg, were you with the family witnessing it?
I was.
Was the father able to attend?
He is.
Curtis.
Yes.
You've been a prosecutor for over 20 years. This case was particularly troubling. Did you find it that way as a prosecutor? I mean, where was this case in terms of?
Oh yeah, it's like I told the jury. I mean, the death penalty in Oklahoma is reserved for the worst of the worst. And this case was exactly that. And when you have this type of facts and you have the actions that were taken, you have the beautiful life that was taken, then the ultimate punishment is warranted. And the jury agreed with that. And we saw the ending today.
I've gotten some comments on Facebook that it has taken 18 years to get here. Can you comment on just why it took so long? And I imagine that didn't make it any easier for the family.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, 18 years is a long time to wait for justice. I try to prepare families for that and let them know 18 years seems like a little bit, each case I've had another one that was 11 or 12 years. So you just never know exactly how long it's going to be. It's going to be a long time. I try to prepare the families and let them know that this is a marathon, not a sprint. It's a roller coaster ride. There's ups and downs. You saw it in the last couple of weeks with the clemency hearing, even taking off work, getting ready to come here. The family gets ready to participate in the clemency hearing, and then it gets pushed off. So frustrating, but I guess at the same time, I mean, when you have this process, you have to let it play out, and because you want it to be a fair system. And so we hate that it does take the families through those roller coaster times, but sometimes it just takes that long.
Was this last month harder because of the Department Parole Board issues with 3 members? And did they have doubt this day was going to be today?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. It definitely threw curveballs to an already frustrating process, but again, there's ups and downs. You don't know what a court may do, and want to hear more information on certain topics at the end. So, it just you never know what's going to come at the last minute.
With this process being so long, is it rare for someone like you to follow a case through like this? How do you feel to get to the end of it?
Well, it's satisfied that justice was done. I don't know that anybody looks forward to having to preside over this type of case. I love being with this family, but I wish we hadn't met in this way, right? But There's been a lot of prosecutors that I know that have seen cases all the way through, and so I was just fortunate enough to still be in a place where I could see it to the end.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, it's time for our media witnesses. As always, when you get to the podium, please say and spell your first and last name and your affiliation so the media can have the correct spelling and whatnot. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Sean Murphy, SEAN-MURPHY. I'm a reporter for the AP here in Oklahoma. So there were the 5 media witnesses. Kevin Underwood had 4 witnesses on his behalf, his mother, his cousin, his attorney, and I believe an investigator for the Federal Public Defender's Office, and then the Attorney General, the governor's representative, I believe an assistant attorney general, and 5 others, 9 total for the state. And they were in the viewing room with us. The curtain was lifted at 10:02. The death warrant was read. Underwood was given an opportunity to say his last words, and he said, I would like to apologize again for all the terrible things I did. I hate that I did those things and wish I could take them back. He then apologized to the girl's family and to his own family for the pain that he caused them. And then he added, the decision to execute me on my birthday and 6 days before Christmas was a needlessly cruel thing to do to my family, but I'm very sorry for what I did, and I wish I could take it back. Then he was asked if he was finished with his last words. He said yes. And then the execution began at 10:04. He lifted his head to look at some of his witnesses. He did have a tear in his left eye. His eyes closed at 10:06. I could see the first round of chemicals start to flow at that point. He had slightly hitched breath that continued through 10:07. 10:09, the doctor came in, shook him, and I heard the doctor say, Kevin, can you hear me? And then he was declared unconscious at that point. I could still see some movement of his chest that indicated he was breathing at 10:10. And I could also see the second chemical start to flow at that point. He appeared to stop breathing at 10:11. The color started to drain from his face. The doctor came into the death chamber at 10:14 and checked for a heartbeat, for a pulse, checked his pupils, and then he was declared dead at 10:14. They lowered the curtain. So, any questions?
I'm Nolan Clay with the Oklahoman. That's NOLANCLAY. I've witnessed a number of executions. This one did seem to go a little quicker. For those who are not in there, he was dressed in a gray top, strapped on the gurney, had the white sheet that covered him from like mid-chest on down to his feet. He did not have, as noted, he did not have a spiritual advisor in there. And the hitched breath was also observed that in the comments. He spoke in a deliberate, kind of slow way, so you were able to pick up his words pretty accurately. So, any questions?
My name is Reagan Ledbetter, REAGANLEDBETTER. I'm with News on 6 in Tulsa. Echo what Nolan said. I've witnessed a number of executions now, and I would say the process seemed to go quicker than usual. The one thing I would note at the beginning of the final words, when he was asked if he had any final words, he kind of made this long sigh, long breath, like he was trying to think what he was going to say. The tone seemed very remorseful, but also took point about the fact that he was executed on his birthday. As Sean mentioned, just couple signs of hitch breathing, but other than that, it was a pretty quick process. Yeah, that's about it.
My name is Sam Royka, and I'm with the Norman Transcript. It's SAMROYKA. I agree with what they've said so far. A couple of things. When we came into the room and they opened the curtain, he looked at all of us, but particularly he looked at his mother. Same thing after his last words. And then also in his last words, there was a pause right after, "I wish I could take them back." After unconsciousness, his hands moved slightly and so did his lips. And that's what I have. Any questions?
Rick Marinon, R-I-C-K, last name is Marinon, M as in Mary, A-R-A-N as in Nancy, O-N as in Nancy, Fox 23 News, Tulsa. I agree with pretty much everything they have said already. I think those who were seated closer to his feet, we noticed this. He had been declared unconscious. He was laying this way towards me. And keep in mind, he was unconscious, but for some reason, for 2 minutes, his middle finger went up and it stayed up. And as he, around 10:13, the hand went back to a ball. But it definitely did stick out to us that the middle finger was up and stayed up, but he was unconscious at the time. I think the only other thing
Okay, we've had enough of that. So obviously, they're saying that he had his middle finger up. So another FU, it sounds like. So, I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted on a lot of things. I know that Buddy Leach knows everybody. I know Kevin knows everybody. Maybe, I don't know. I just wish the trial would have got moved, okay? I wish the trial would have got moved. But looking into several cases, I don't even know how to say it, but it seems like Buddy Leach likes to do plea deals. So, I don't know. It'd be interesting if we know he knows all these people. I mean, he's the one that did Wrangler stuff too. And some people got upset about that. They thought Wrangler should go to prison. Buddy Leach sent him to rehab, which I think that was the correct way to go. I think Wrangler really needed some rehab. But I don't know about all these plea deals. This is kind of crazy. This is also, Paul Grice, when he was on the stand, from what I'm told from people in the courtroom, he started going into details of what he was told about some stuff that might have happened to the children. And Buddy Leach objected and said, that was in Kansas, that wasn't in Oklahoma. So just a FYI, it was brought up, is my understanding, the SA allegations. Paul Grice brought them up. So it sounds like to me that if they do go to trial, them allegations will probably still get talked about, is what it sounds like. I don't know. I do plan on going to the trial, whether it be in Texas County or not. So, plea deals save money. I also think trials can be very hard on victims' families. They will still get to make their victim impact statements at sentencing. Yeah, the deal is, though, okay, so you got 3 that took plea deals. You're still going to have the trial for Tad and Tiffany. And also, the ones that took plea deals will be testifying. So how does that make it easier on the family? Like, I don't know that I'm pretty strong, but I don't know that I could have handled court. I mean, even now, it's not being there and hearing about it. is extremely rough, is what I think. I want to show you something else too. And I'm glad Carrie and Tara was there. I watched their live last night. Like I said, me and Carrie get along. There's not an issue there. There's no problem between us. So, just so you know, we're good. Talked to her today, as a matter of fact. I really don't want to have problems with anybody. I know a lot of you are having problems with this case and what was said the last 2 days. That's why I went live. And I think Christopher fell asleep, but I was on the phone with him a couple times today. And I was going to go live today, and I had to go help my daughter. I got a phone call. I had to go, and I messaged him and told him, man, I can't go live right now. Something else come up. I think the death penalty is too easy too. Because like this family, 18 years later, came to give their impact statement. Oh, I see Christopher's here. Okay, good. There you are. A lot came out. We heard a lot, and it was really hard to listen to. So this is your chance to talk to the rest of the people in here, and if we can help each other, that's what I want to try to accomplish here. And there's still so many unknown, so much unknown. We found out a lot, but there's still a lot of unknown. And man, does it sound horrible for me to say maybe it's better not to know the details? You know what I mean? Is it better not to know the details? I'm going to play something real quick. I think this is the last bit. And as far as Cole's plea deal, that the way I understand it, I was not there, but the way I understand it, it was never discussed, a plea deal. But it sure is written on his paperwork. So
thank you for joining us. I'm Jeff Herndon. Emotional testimony from one of the 5 people accused of murdering Jillian Kelly and Veronica Butler. Paul Grice says he was brainwashed and that he let hate grow in his heart. Julia Thatcher is in Guyman, Oklahoma, to explain what that means.
Paul Grice said he was brainwashed to believe evil. He said Tiffany Adams and Tad Cullum talked about allegations of her grandchildren being abused by a family member of Veronica.
Let me stop that for a minute. You know, Lavender, unfortunately, I've thought of the same thing. And even went as far as to look up to see how long the governor has been governor, what party he is. He is a Republican. This is his second four-year term, so he can't run for governor again. Let's hope and pray that she don't have connections to the governor. Because unfortunately, I don't think it would happen, but I have thought about this too. I hope not, but a governor can pardon. I think he's got what? You guys, whoever lives there, I think he's got like 2 years left. I would definitely hope not, but I definitely have thought about that. Absolutely thought about it.
With OSBI, but said his testimony on Tuesday and Wednesday is the truth. Tad Cullum's attorneys cited a previous interview that Paul did with OSBI where he said that Veronica, quote, smelled evil and that he had no remorse. We also learned a bit more about why Paul Grice was not arrested with the others. Paul said in April he willingly met with law enforcement at the Four Corners, and after being confronted with forensic DNA and told his name was being thrown around, he confessed. However, there was not a warrant for his arrest. He was allowed to go home and gave investigators his word that if a warrant was issued, he would come back and turn himself in, which he did. Paul Grice said he took the plea deal to get off the death penalty and to bring closure to the families. He said when he started attacking Veronica, a door closed in his brain and he knew it was wrong, but that he was too far in to stop. Citing the medical examiner's report in the preliminary hearings, attorneys said that Veronica was stabbed about 30 times. Jillian Kelly stabbed with the same knife about 16 times. Coming up tonight at 10, I'll have a look at key pieces of testimony from the past 2 days in the preliminary hearings. Here for you in Guyman, Oklahoma, Julia Thatcher, KSN News 3.
Okay, I'm getting through some stuff here and we will go over it. Ricochet, do you want the link or are you wanting to say it in chat? Are you wanting to call me and me talk about it? I have issues about Cole. Yeah, me too. My thoughts and prayers go out to the family and friends of both victims. Hearing that your loved ones are brutally killed like that is heartbreaking. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even know either one of them, and it's extremely heartbreaking. Ricochet is very knowledgeable, and I always enjoy what you have to say. I agree. I couldn't either, but listen, stranger things have happened. And I don't know why I thought about that's crazy that Lavender thought about it, and I thought about it too. You know, a governor, I'll tell you, I have a friend that went to jail in Arkansas, and he was going to jail for life for growing marijuana. Okay. And he was there for life while he was in jail. Obviously, he found God while he was in jail or in prison. We'll say prison because he was in prison. He was in prison. He found God. And he started doing classes about the brain, talking about the brain. His name is Peter, and I can't say his last name. Anyway, he was pardoned by Governor Clinton when he was governor. And he actually ended up here in Wichita. Like I said, I knew him before that. He ended up here in Wichita with the drug court program. And he was the lead counselor for the drug court program. And now he has a really huge counseling business. And Sam's mom, I'm so glad I'm not opposed to capital punishment. I just know how broken the system is. Only 3% of DP executions are carried out in the U.S. Yeah. I don't know if I told you guys before, but there's a girl named Taylor, and she basically cut a baby out of a belly. I'm not going to go into full detail, but her boyfriend was best friends with one of my son-in-laws, and she bought a fake belly and all kinds of crazy stuff. And I actually went down to that trial, and it's just so horrible. And when you get the death penalty, every appeal, you got to come back for a hearing. Do we want to put the family through that? And I believe that it was said that the family said it'd be too easy to get the death penalty. And I could be wrong. I could be very wrong. Carol, was that in Missouri at Rock Chalk? No, it was actually in Texas. And then she drove to, she stole the baby and was in the car, left the lady there to die. And she got caught by an Oklahoma State trooper, and they pulled her over, and she had acted like she just had the baby. And she thought if she went to a hospital in this little town of Oklahoma that she would never get caught. And she got caught. And her name is Taylor. That was a horrible trial too. I just want to do what's best for the families, what the families want. And if they tell the DA they don't want the death penalty, then that's probably what the DA will go with, is what I would think. I would assume that Buddy Leach would go over everything with the family, but I'm going to be honest with you. Look at the stuff that was released, and the family had to see it on social media. Like, that's just horrible. Just horrible. Some of the things got released without talking to the family members about it. And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. I think everything should be discussed with the family first. Always the family first. And don't party the Republicans. I voted Republican. I voted for Trump. My biggest issue is finding out so many local new details and didn't do anything. Oh, yes, I want to get to that. My last comment. Don't think that Democrats don't pardon people either. Just saying. So trying to make it about a party, for one, it's probably not good here, but for two, they all do it. They help their friends out and they do things. I just hope that she's not friends with any of them, because there's pictures and stuff of her with them. So again, I just want you to we want to be careful with it. I would hope that didn't happen for somebody to get pardoned. But Carrie didn't look into or go over in the live the details of the wounds in the autopsy report. She said it's because she really don't know how to explain them, and they were going to get one of their friends to come and do that. And I told her, I said, go check out Gavin Fish. Gavin Fish went over the autopsies, and he did a really, really good job. They want to make sure that, and I get it, they don't want to upset the family in any way. And so there's certain things that they're not going to talk about right now, and that's okay. That's okay. I agree and wouldn't be able to live with myself. I knew and did nothing about it. I agree. I know that wasn't Missouri. I'm referring to Jillian. Also, when I type in Jillian in the pound Jillian Kelly, pound Veronica Butler, sometimes it autocorrects and it spells her name wrong. So I will pay better attention to that. I corrected it, but I absolutely 1000% know her name. And sometimes I get in a hurry and it autocorrects. Okay, Ricochet. I meant to look into that more today, but didn't have a chance. What did Ricochet say? But Carrie didn't look into or go over it in the live. Yeah, they were waiting on a friend. They mentioned it. They said they were waiting on a friend that was going to sit down with both of them and go over it. And I suggested Gavin Fish. Have you guys watched Gavin Fish? He's really good about going over. He went over the autopsies, and he did a very good job. On another channel, not Carrie, I heard that at least Jillian's family did not want DP. They just did not want all 5 to ever be released. Yeah. Believe it or not, I know somebody that's very close to I'm not even going to say his name, but to Jillian's husband. And he's just trying to raise the kids. Like, I don't even believe he'll come back for the trials. So, and honestly, I don't think he could have handled yesterday either. So, with that said, everybody deals with grief different. And I remember his last statements and the last time he preached and everybody put their hands on him and stuff. And, he said he was going to let God take care of it. So with that said, I would be very surprised if you see him come back for the trials. Well, Ostrich, with Rock's blessing, I'll post a link and tell you where to look, but we'll need a trigger warning. Go ahead. Go ahead. Post it. That 5-minute KSN update I sent you covered a lot of point I was concerned with. Okay, let me see it here. Let me look at it, Christopher. See exactly what it's named. Okay. It is on YouTube. A day ago. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't just click on a link in the chat, but it's on KSN's YouTube, it says. Okay. I'm going to bring you guys aboard. Okay. I know I haven't got through all the chat. All right. Let's see here. It's Jeff Herndon on the screen. And a day ago. Is that Christopher? I might have just played that, but I'm going to keep looking. Hold on just a second. 524. What is this? That was 3 months ago. Suspect in Kansas murder mom's case wraps up testimony. I could swear we just went over that. I did, but we'll play it again.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Jeff Herndon. The preliminary hearings in Texas County, Oklahoma are over. And when it's all said and done, Tiffany Adams and Cole Twombly waived their prelims. Cora Twombly and Paul Grice agreed to plea deals. And Tad Cullum is bound over for trial. KSN's Julia Thatcher was the only Kansas reporter in the courtroom. She has our continuing coverage.
The day in court started with Tad Cullum's attorneys cross-examining Paul Grice in his testimony. He had said he wasn't sure if Jillian Kelly was already dead inside of the trailer when he stabbed her. And so the debate is over who ultimately killed Jillian Kelly. He did admit to stabbing her and to killing Veronica Butler, but he won't say for sure or take responsibility for killing Jillian Kelly. I talked to family members of Veronica Butler, and they said they were surprised that Tad Cullum's attorneys are trying to pin both murders on Paul Grice, but they said they understand because that is their job. We also heard from Jamie Beasley today. He is the owner of the property where Veronica Butler and Jillian Kelly were found. He said that Tiffany Adams and Tad Cullum came to him before the murders and asked about doing work on the property, taking trees and burying them. There was a type of exchange there. However, Jamie Beasley said the next day, the morning of the murders, he got home early in the morning and had noticed when he woke up that the work they had said they would do, moving the trees and moving a pile of concrete, had not been done. He did say it appeared that some items from the concrete pile had been moved. He said he had different conversations with Tad Cullum after that, and he said his fear continued to grow over what Tad Cullum had done on that property. He said he was worried to go to investigators about who might find out that he was talking. He said he's a single dad of 2, and he was worried for his 2 boys. Ultimately, he decided to wait until investigators came to talk to him. I also, again, had a chance to talk to the family of Veronica Butler, and the aunt to Veronica Butler had shared with me that the state asked how they felt about the death penalty, specifically for Tiffany Adams and Tad Cullum. She said they discussed it and talked about it, but ultimately decided that it was an easy out and that they are against the death penalty for Tiffany Adams and Tad Cullum. 2 cell phones found at the bottom of what Cora Twombly describes as an incinerator. She mentioned it in her testimony on Tuesday. OSBI agents said they went to the area of what she was describing and found the phones They also say that one of those cell phones is now matched to one of the burner phones that Tiffany Adams bought before the murders. Cora Twombly described getting the phones again before those murders and stun guns. OSBI agents also described clothing found in the hole where Jillian Kelly and Veronica Butler were dug up, including a jacket that Paul Grice described wearing. Paul continued his testimony today. He revealed Tuesday that he took a plea deal today. He said the only thing discussed as part of that deal is that the death penalty would be taken off the table. Being questioned by Tad Cullum's attorneys, they said that Paul Grice was trying to save his own skin. He replied by saying, "My skin is not worth saving." Paul Grice said he was brainwashed to believe evil. He said Tiffany Adams and Tad Cullum talked about allegations of her grandchildren being abused by a family member of Veronica Butler. However, he said he never had any proof. There is back and forth about what kind of proof there may be, including the DA saying any files surrounding those allegations would be sealed because the people involved are children. Paul also testified that he told his wife about what happened after the murders. He said her not facing charges is not part of his plea agreement. Paul also admitted to perjuring himself, lying under oath in 2 interviews with OSBI, but said his testimony on Tuesday and Wednesday is the truth. Tad Cullum's attorneys cited a previous interview that Paul did with OSBI where he said that Veronica, quote, smelled evil and that he had no remorse. We also learned a bit more about why Paul Grice was not arrested with the others. Paul said in April he willingly met with law enforcement at the Four Corners, and after being confronted with forensic DNA and told his name was being thrown around, he confessed. However, there was not a warrant for his arrest. He was allowed to go home and gave investigators his word that if a warrant was issued, he would come back and turn himself in, which he did. Paul Grice said he took the plea deal to get off the death penalty and to bring closure to the families. He said when he started attacking Veronica, a door closed in his brain and he knew it was wrong, but that he was too far in to stop. Citing the medical examiner's report in the preliminary hearings, attorneys said that Veronica was stabbed about 30 times. Jillian Kelly stabbed with the same knife about 16 times. Coming up tonight at 10, I'll have a look at key pieces of testimony from the past 2 days in the preliminary hearings. Here for you in Guyman, Oklahoma, Julia Thatcher, KSN News 3.
With copious associated hemorrhage. They make all sorts of stuff, but very much for being here. Very much for being here. Today, do you guys remember this case? Oh my goodness, this was back from March. This is the case of the murder of 27-year-old Veronica Butler and 39-year-old Jillian Kelly. Now, just to give a little bit of a primer on this case, this is basically what happened.
Now, I'm not going to play the whole thing, but if you want the autopsies broken down for you, this is the guy to go to, and I'll share his link. Gavin did a very good job with this. I'll go share it right now, and it'll take you directly to it. So I'll share it with you. But he does an awesome job, and his voice is so calm. If you want to hear it explained to you, I would go to him. I'm going to play
these 2 ladies, Jillian and Veronica, were from Hugoton, Kansas, and they went missing while they were driving through the Oklahoma Panhandle. They were going down to meet her, let's say, mother-in-law. She wasn't married to this woman's child, but like it's her boyfriend's.
Anyway, I'm just showing you. He goes over every bit of it. See, right here, I'm going to play just a little bit.
Trauma with a total of 30 sharp force injuries as follows. To the head and neck, she had 4 incised wounds, including one
You
deep
guys had questions
to the
about
top
Julian,
and the
right? Let me see here. Let me see which one. Because
and then
I believe
you
it's
know the
this
location
one
of
here. I
her
saw
death,
you. Good to
which
see you.
was underground. I think the location of death is probably where the
Okay, that's still Veronica's. Let's see if we can get to Jillian's.
I think Veronica had something like 30 sharp force injuries. Jillian had 16, which is not a little for sure, but maybe is an indication that she was not the prime target, though maybe there was some.
Also,
This Amanda,
I want to tell you this. When I watched him, he thought he had it blurred out and it actually showed this girl. But he was showing how taser marks was on the neck of this girl. And the medical examiner never brought it up. And he shows exactly what taser marks looks like after it happens. Because he felt, there's taser marks right there. He felt like that Veronica and Jillian would have these marks. This is what taser marks look like. And this was on this lady's neck. This is not Jillian or Veronica, FYI. It's just not. But he was trying to show it. But again, if you want to hear somebody...
examiner here is Celia Cobb for Veronica and Celia Cobb for Jillian. Spinal cord injury. It is my.
Okay, hold on. I think this is Jillian's right here, guys.
It is my opinion that her death was very quick and likely.
Let me back up just a little bit more. And then I'll end it.
Murder, right? So far, they say it was an accidental overdose. Okay, anyway, after having been fatally attacked, Veronica Butler was then deliberately concealed inside a sealed freezer along with the body of Jillian Kelly. The freezer was then buried 4.5 to 8 feet below ground and covered with a large concrete slab. Underneath the freezer were additionally buried clothing, a stun gun, a roll of tape, and a knife, all of which were collected on scene as evidence by the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation. Given the extent of Ms. Butler's injuries, including defects to both of her internal jugular veins with resultant exsanguination, that means she bled out, it is my opinion that her death was very quick and likely occurred before she was placed inside the freezer and buried, which at least that is a mercy. This opinion is additionally supported by the fact that her body appeared to have remained exactly how it was placed inside the freezer. The manner of death is homicide. And then let's look at the case summary here. In my opinion, says Dr. Cobb, about Jillian, based on the circumstances surrounding death and the findings at autopsy, Jillian Kelly died as a result of multiple sharp force trauma consisting of 9 stab wounds and 7 incised wounds, 16 total sharp force injuries. 2 of the incised wounds were consistent with Mrs. Kelly having attempted to defend herself with incised wounds to her left index finger and right thumb. Although possible stun gun marks were observed on the back of her neck and posterior left shoulder, the decomposed state of her body limited definitive gross and microscopic confirmation. After having been fatally attacked, Jillian Kelly was then deliberately concealed inside the freezer, and so on and so forth. Given the nature of Mrs. Kelly's injuries, including a devastating upper cervical spinal cord injury, it is my opinion that her death was very rapid. What did she describe over here? Very quick and very rapid over here, as she would have likely not only lost her ability to move her body below her head, but also her ability to breathe on her own. It is my opinion, therefore, that she was most likely deceased before she was placed in the freezer. The manner of death is homicide.
Okay, I'm going to stop it. I'm going to stop it because it is a lot. But if you really want it broke down, go over and check out Gavin. He's really good. And thank you, Oblivious, for sharing it. And I got something else I want to share with you guys too. This is crazy, and I don't have any beef with Derek, but he just keeps going at it. I still don't have no beef with him, but I want to show you guys something. This is crazy. And then we'll still go over this, but especially while OB's here, you guys got to see this. Okay. Let's see that.
Giving an idea of who else may speak during the hearing. This includes an employee of Big R Standard Supply. Court documents say that this is where.
Hold on, I want to get to it. It's coming up.
So again, like I'm not somebody who thinks vigilantism is good.
Was, you know, saying that it was his pickup and his trailer, and he's like, that trailer hasn't moved in 6 months.
Yeah.
You tell me that trailer.
Trial. Charges against laughing and like doing like a dance. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
Nah, that's remove the word try. You're not cool. Have you not seen Happy Days? Did Fonzie recording from KSN is that
trying to get to? I should have.
Hold on. I hope is this playing? Like are they hearing both? Okay. I have a question for you. I think they've been hearing like shitty. I've had 2 mics turned on, and that's not good.
Trying to get to it. I can't.
Over to their
right
page. Follow both of their pages. They are, and I don't know. Like it's if you go to Carrie Moody's YouTube page, she's got a 10th. She's so sensational. It's nice to see.
It's coming up.
When I saw like the silhouette of them walking off into the.
I think it's about right here, guys.
Doing it in Guyman, Oklahoma, and these YouTubers, this Carrie Moody, they are. What happened?
I don't know. Is it just because the cursor's on my picture down there?
What's
It
it say?
says remove.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah. AI thing to get off here. No, but I think it's awesome that like. Now the KSN girl today, she was cooking. But like it's crazy to see that like the majority of the conversation that's happening about this case is happening on like YouTube and Facebook with people like these true crime people. Like it's
You know,
it makes me feel
amazes
good.
me just the coverage that this case has
Mm-hmm.
gotten. I
Yeah.
mean, there's not a place on Earth that hasn't heard about this, I don't think. Maybe Antarctica, but
Yeah.
you know, I mean, it has spread all over the place, and it's because of YouTubers.
Uh-huh.
It's because people were on, you know, for lack of better words, boots on the ground.
Yeah.
You know, there was people that was
Yeah.
actually here and putting forth their effort to get it out there, and has continued to do that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
No,
I
you're
just
good.
had to laugh at that 'cause that's the only thing that came to mind.
Listen to this.
I'm glad you said that. I want whenever you finish your point, I want to say something and we can get out
You
of
know,
here. if you want.
Veronica and Jillian would have never got this justice if this case hadn't been blown the hell up by YouTubers.
Yeah.
I know. I've lived in this area my whole life. Stuff like this gets swept under the rug. It might get a little publicity, but nothing like this case has gotten. And I am so grateful for that because I don't believe that Veronica and Jillian would have got the justice that they deserve. And I mean, they're still getting cut short, I believe.
Yeah.
But at least there's something happening.
Yeah.
It's not being just swept under the rug and pushed into history. And
There's
it being-
power.
Yeah.
There's power in the people, and I'm gonna say this. I've been having some back and forth with a lady named Rock Chalk, calling her names and such. I'm a child.
I know you
But
are.
I'll say this, like, couple things. You're right about the coverage. Now, this Rock Chalk lady, she is about pretty much like how she operates her like production and stuff is if I was her producer, I would be behind the ring like being like, stop.
Stop.
But the thing is I'm not her producer.
Right.
She does her show. She has like a lot of people that watch her.
Mm-hmm.
To me, when I go back and forth with her, the seriousness level of it, and you can agree, you're with me a lot. I think of it as like, and I'm being dead serious. I think of like me and Rock Chalk's like back and forth. I think of it as like I'm Hulk Hogan and she's like,
Randy
yeah,
Savage.
she's Randy Savage. And like we're on YouTube and we're like, listen here, when I see you at SummerSlam, you know what I mean? Like she's different than me. Okay, she does things that I wouldn't do. End of the day, I think I sleep a little bit safer at night, and I'm being serious and sincere right now. And I'm not gonna quit bickering with her because I'm gonna see her at SummerSlam. No, I enjoy going back and forth with her and debating, I guess we'll call it. But I'm being serious because of the coverage from everybody involved, police, even the newspapers, KSN. We've seen Fox here, because of all of the people putting this story out there, and because of Rock Chalk, I think in this community, anybody that might have been planning on taking somebody out is thinking a little bit harder about doing it because they don't want somebody like Rock Chalk in front of their mom's house.
Right.
Because she'll do it.
Absolutely.
And mountains moved. Mountains again.
Smartest thing he said.
But
I know, right?
The entire coverage, her pissing people off, her people talking about it, all of it has brought this like collective like silver lining to this whole thing. And I think it has brought a layer of protection to this part of the country that, like, you know what? Back in the day, everybody swears that Paul Harvey said, if you want to get away with murder, do it in Elkhart. I would say in present day, I wouldn't do it on that Rock Chalk lady's watch. She'll go park in front of your mom's house. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's just being honest. Like, so I
Jerry and
appreciate.
Tara are the same way. You know, I mean, they get out there, they dig in.
Mm-hmm. I appreciate
I definitely
everybody.
would not want to be on the other side of those three ladies.
Oh, hell no. Hell no.
Absolutely not.
But we'll see them at
Challenge
SummerSlam.
to the slam slam.
Hold on, just it's
But
okay,
no,
over.
yeah. So anyway, we did run into Veronica's Ken.
Okay.
The only thing I'll say is she did this.
Okay. Are you there, Christopher?
Yeah, I am. Was challenging them to the SummerSlam event.
Yeah. Well, I actually, Derek has been very, very critical of me. And I don't want to say I go back and forth with him, but I don't have a problem with Derek. They go on, if you go watch that, Hope says I watch Rock. As a matter of fact, she got me and my old man in a lot of fights. That's the thing, if you don't like my channel, there's always another channel you can go watch. That's how I feel. Nobody's going to tell me how to do my channel. But that's just the way I am. I said all along, I'm not a creator. Like, I was a state investigator for 25 years. Married to a U.S. Marshal. Like, I'm more on the boots on the ground, digging into things type of person. I don't know how to make, like, these comments now. I don't know why they're so big. It just automatically happened. I don't know how to make them smaller at all. I know enough to get by, to do lives for you guys, and that's it. That's all. I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to do any of that, and I don't want to learn. doing lives is enough for me. It's hard. And I
Well,
love that.
I want to see them pictures that they seen. That's what I want to see.
Absolutely. And I've said that from the get-go. You know, you go on a live and you and Norm say, we saw crime scene photos the day of and blood was pooling in the ditches. I want to see them. And who shared them and who took them. I've had a problem with that comment all along. And maybe that's why he's been bickering with me, because don't go live and make a comment like that.
Yeah, he was just he wasn't getting the watches on his channel that he wanted. That was what was upsetting.
I think that sometimes that he just wants to joke around. But I mean, you know, he posted my picture. I mean, he's did a lot of shots at me, but that's okay. And when I say I want to see these pictures, it's not me trying to take shots at them. I
want to
really
see
want
them.
to see these pictures.
Me too. Wherever they'd be, I'd go there. I'd watch that entire show and give him all kinds of likes.
Yeah.
I'd bring all my friends.
But somebody said that to me last night, and I did go in the comments and I put a couple of boxing gloves and then I put 2 bare knuckles and I said, let's get ready to rumble. And then I said, with all seriousness, Derek, you know, I don't have an issue with you. You keep doing you. I'm going to keep doing me. And you know, I'm not going to do this back and forth type of thing. I just want to know where the pictures are. Like, I really want to know where them pictures are.
Well, I can tell you, I didn't stop until I ran into that KSN one I sent you that covered everything. She even went into details about how the family felt and stuff like that. That was probably the most relaxing report that I'd heard. And they gave very good things. I'm really shocked with this. I don't know that that's truth that they're saying it was the same knife, but if it was, and that was, you know, I'm thinking that he probably just laid her in her after he knocked her out. You know, I don't know. That's probably the most disturbing. Honestly, I think his story of he did it because he didn't want her to be buried alive was probably more true than what we're coming to, because I don't, like I say, that's probably the only disturbing fact. But they're saying 16 of the same ones, or at least that was one report out there. And yeah, I don't think they did a very good. Well, they didn't. Paul Grice was completely right. He was really set up to do everything. You know, I mean, they didn't. Of course, he talked like he could do it. So he sold them, and they gave him the job. You know.
Right, and I'm going to tell you right now, Tad's attorneys are trying to pin it on Paul Grice, but Paul wasn't having it. Paul was not having it. He was standing up for himself.
Right, exactly. Like I say, I'd just like to have been in there. I've been the one that's seen the eye expressions and the things, and Carrie and them just didn't explain it right. You know, after Julia got back and made an actual report, you know, that was probably the best actual reconsider or what do you say, realistic views that we've got out of there. I'm interested to watch the one Monday from the lady from New York.
Yeah. Her partner, the attorney, went live.
Yeah, I watched that.
Mm-hmm. But I imagine it's going to be the same thing that's been said. Honestly, they're not. There was one more thing that somebody else in the courtroom had told me that Paul Grice went into detail on some things that was on the SA report, and Buddy Leach objected, but he had already got it out. And I'm not going to go into detail what he said, but it's in that report. So it is in that SA report, and he had brought it up, and Buddy Leach stood up and objected and said that case was never in Oklahoma, that was in Kansas. So we're not going to discuss it here, but I do see that is going to come in to court
Yeah,
Is it
I honestly,
delivering it?
honestly believe that you were right about the aunt sending it to grandma, and grandma showed it to him. Well, that was probably one of the very convincing factors that got him on board. You know, I mean, if you're trying to
Right.
convince somebody that hard, you gotta give everything you got, and if that's what she had, which I can honestly say, some of them details in that thing of yes, you know, I would have been upset.
Yeah, and also, it was said in court that them papers
Mhm.
are in Lori Sue's safe.
Oh yeah, really. So they found wow, yeah, that's what I figured. Guaranteed
So
that's what she used. And he was saying 28 pages.
Yeah.
You know, he named the number, everything. You know, so it definitely. Even
So
that attorney.
Paul Grice didn't actually ever ask for the proof, okay? But they told him some of the things, and from what somebody told me today that was in the court, I'll tell you right now, that's what I read in the SA case. So it's kind of crazy. I know it. I know the family don't like it. I get it. I've said all along, I am out for justice for Jillian and Veronica, 1000%. But I also feel like everything has to be told. If you only want me to tell the good things and the things that's not going to hurt your feelings, you're in the wrong place.
Yeah, that that particular angle was, I bet if they didn't actually show it to Paul, they definitely read part or, you know, had it memorized for him or something.
Because that person asked me if that was in the report, and I said it is. It absolutely is. So just FYI, it is in that report.
Yeah.
That Veronica's aunt sent to everybody in the Discord. So, hello.
Yes, I do know that one.
And does it make it okay for what they did? No, hell no.
No, it
No, I've
doesn't.
never said that. I've never ever said that.
But it would have been a definite recruiting factor.
Well,
For sure.
and I've said this to you guys before. So what if I have that report and everybody says, you know, suspected SA or whatever, and I know the real truth, and I just never tell you. And then later on down the road, somebody says, well, you know, Rock had that report the whole time, and she never even let you guys know that it wasn't just allegations. I will tell you that. It wasn't just allegations. The report was sustained. There is actually 2 reports. I mean, it does exist and it did happen. But does it make it okay with this? Absolutely no.
No, there's no washing this. It's just how can you? I would bet you $100 that Cora read that report if she had it. That was probably definitely what had Cora working night and day, because it's amazing the things that the thing. And then supposedly those phones were just found after she testified on this court or on this thing, like in the last 2 days or whatever.
You know,
So
I'm going to tell you guys something else. Do you realize that Veronica and Jillian's phones have never been found?
Right. And they just found these other ones. That's why I was telling you. I thought that those phones were possibly one of them that was taken in or something. But they just found the Apple Watch. Is all they found on it that I've found anywhere.
Right. The way I understand it is neither one of their phones has ever been found, and supposedly they're buried somewhere else. So hopefully that information, I would think if you're doing a plea deal, you find out from the people you're doing the plea deal with where their damn phones are.
Yes, for sure. That'd be one of the questions I'd want to know.
Absolutely.
She got rid of them, you know.
And also, I wanted to say, okay, so didn't the investigators find the knife sheaths at Tad's house? They did find a knife sheath at Tad's house, but I want to say this. In his testimony, he said he went there with his own knife and a gun, okay? He also felt like they were tricking him when they pulled up to Beasley's house. he pulled his gun on Tad because he thought they set him up for both murders.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, you know, when I was boots on the ground, I was told in that first week that, you know, that he was locked in the horse trailer with Veronica. I didn't know about Jillian. Okay. And you think that he might have been in that horse trailer for the simple fact that he damn near cut his pinky off and he would have been bleeding so bad that they wouldn't have wanted him in any vehicle?
Oh, I guarantee you that was the deciding factor where he rode. I
Right.
promise you that.
It wasn't for him to make sure that they were both deceased or anything. It was because he was bleeding like crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't
Yeah,
want
well,
that evidence in
The
their
gray
truck.
tape was the bandage. That's what that gray tape was for. He
Yeah.
got that to try to bandage up his hand.
Well, he said that Cora gave him tape.
Yeah, like I say, I
Duct tape.
guarantee you that's what it was because it wasn't nowhere else. There was no other duct tape found anywhere else that I found other than what he used on his fingers.
Right.
Or they, no, I do. I think I remember something about there may have been a piece of gray tape around the seal.
Yeah, of the freezer. Mhm.
Yeah, I think I remember that in one of the findings out of the thing. But like I say, there isn't one of the pieces of evidence I ain't went over 30 times trying to figure this out. And
Well,
I don't.
it very well could be about the knife sheath. I'm trying to answer that question.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
Tad could have had a knife sheath at his house. To say that it was to the knife that Paul had, I don't know. I just know that
Right.
in testimony it came out that Paul had his own knife and his gun, and that he said he stabbed. Jillian's eyes started to flutter, but he couldn't tell if it was because it was so bumpy. So he stabbed her maybe 2 to 3 times just to make sure she was gone because he didn't want them to bury her alive.
Right.
So
Yeah.
whether or not that was
Maybe they had matching knives, you know. It's
well,
very possible.
I mean, they just let us know they found a sheath. We don't know that that was to that knife. I
Right.
don't think so.
Well, that's what bothers me about that little 16 of the same knife wounds. It was KSN said that today, but you know, like I say, I don't know that that's proven fact. I'd never seen anywhere that broke down anything that said they were matching knives or that's
If you
that
could
would
go
be a detail.
listen. I've only showed parts of Gavin Fish on here because he is a YouTube creator and he deserves the views. I always say, hey,
No,
you know, go check him out. But I'm telling you,
Yeah,
Thanksgiving,
like 10 times. And he didn't say the knives matched. In fact, you know, he didn't have any of that detail in that report. So that's where I'm thinking there's some assumptions been put in by more than one reporter or something. I don't know that for a fact, but they're saying 16. I'm just trying to think of that would be his only, what do you say, escape point that he didn't stab her. He just hit her with, you know, I'm not sure I could see that. I just want to know if the truth was she come to and tried to attack him. You know, that would have
no,
been maybe.
he said he lied about that. He said he
Oh,
lied
he
about
did?
that. Uh-huh. Yeah, on the
There's more.
stand, he said that he lied to them and said he had to stab Jillian because she woke up and tried to take his knife. I'm telling you right now, if you listen to Gavin, the hit to the back of the head that happened from Tad, her neck was broken. She wasn't going to be able to breathe like he said. She wouldn't be able to breathe, and she damn sure
Definitely wasn't
wouldn't be
getting
able
up
to
and fighting him. Yeah, definitely wasn't getting up and fighting him.
walk. Mm-mm. No.
They would. And the thing, the other lie was something about the way they were put in the freezers, and I don't remember where I read that, but one was trying to say like they used the skid steer to put her in. Well, they must already had Julian in there before they ever did that.
You know, I'm conflicted. And like I said, I wasn't in the courtroom. Okay. I plan on going to the trials if they do go to trial. I do plan on going to that. If there's room, by all means, family needs to be in there 1,000%. I can wait outside type of deal. But my deal is originally, supposedly he rented that skidster and he had to have it back.
I didn't hear that. In fact, I thought that in one of the reports that Beasley had put it inside of a horse corral so that and locked it in there so his horses wouldn't eat, because they're known to eat the seats or stuff off of. And that's what I thought. And it was actually, way I understood, it was actually owned by him, but he kept it there.
I was told he rented it, but also after he did this, he went and purchased one at Dear John. It was on order. I don't know how true this is. People in the area telling me this, so I don't know how true it is. But supposedly he went and ordered one, and that skidster come in, and he had been under arrest, and his mom wanted that skidster. Now, again, these people in that area, they all talk, they know a lot, and before that gag order, I'm telling you, I was told a lot of things that now are coming out to be true. That is the truth.
Well, even today,
details, but pretty damn close.
well, the Beasley statement that the court was reporting was that when he woke up, or when he, I think it was when he woke up, that part of the concrete was buried, not all of it. So there must have been a lot more to bury, and he just ran out of room because freezer took up too much space. Couldn't get it all in there,
I'm going to hit this comment so you guys can see it. But Carrie, I have never seen this, your comment here. I've not seen it anywhere. And I feel like I've been on top of this case. So when I show this comment, I want to know if any of you have seen this, because I have not. Well, they actually did put those girls in the trailer with a pig. I never heard a pig was in that trailer. A baby calf was why she was going to look in the trailer, because the kids had a baby calf. I have not
that was the
heard
baby
that a pig was in that trailer. Has anybody ever heard a pig in that trailer? Because I haven't.
No.
That's not to say it hasn't been said, but anything I've ever seen, Carrie, I have not heard that there was a pig in that trailer. So if you know, I don't know where you heard it from, but I have not seen that. And
that
they're
would
very well,
definitely be,
but I haven't heard that.
I would definitely classify that as a fishing story there to add to it. Just somebody told a story and that was somebody else's narrative they put in there. But I did hear it was the bait and lure to say there was a baby pig or a baby calf in there that she had to come see to believe it. And supposedly the kids were in there with the calf is the way that was what the bait and lure was initially.
Yeah, and see, the rumor I was told was that Veronica got a phone call that cattle was out, and that they was going to have to meet her. Anyway, it's still a form of what happened. Sometimes when a story gets told, stuff gets added to it, and so by the time it might get to me, the details might be exactly what they say they are. Does that make sense?
Yes. I believe that. What's amazing is how much that recording that you had 6 days in had down, and I mean, there was details that never came out until now, but they're linking up with that. I mean, that was, he'd obviously told them dudes or had said something. I think that was where Beasley was lying. He knew more of the story than what he was being told.
Oh, absolutely. And the other Larry warned him that the cops were coming. And he said the reason he said that they were supposed to move trees and concrete. And he noticed when he got home early in the morning, some of the concrete was done, but the trees, nothing was done. And he was too scared to go to authorities because he's a single dad with 2 boys. That's exactly what he said on the stand.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can see comments that Carrie was calling Grice a pig. So I get it now. So she's calling Grice a pig because as far as I know, there's not a pig in that trailer.
Yeah, that makes sense because he was in there waiting.
I want to make sure that we don't. I don't want to give anybody false information. I'm just saying. Carrie says I had a vision of it put in a trailer with something. Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think there was anything, but Paul was waiting on him in the trailer, and I think Veronica was going to peek in to see the baby calf, and that's when Grice came out and started attacking her. That's the way I understand it. If I'm wrong, somebody please correct me because I could be wrong.
No, that was definitely the bait and lure to get her in there. Why else would you go into a horse trailer if there wasn't something in there to go look at? You know, that's what.
Yeah, Miss Collector's Item said, yes, I heard the skitster was in the corral too. So she heard the same thing you said.
Yeah, that's what that he kept it there, but he had it in a separated corral so that, you know, they didn't go and say it. But I know from my experience, if you leave a tractor out in the field and the seats aren't covered, the cows will go over and eat the seats and, you know, pull the stuffing out of them. And
right.
So that, you know, that would be an instant protector that a farmer would do. Anytime they put a tractor in somewhere, they always make it so that the animals can't get to it for that reason.
Well, okay, so if he got home so early in the morning and he didn't notice, he noticed a little bit of the concrete was gone, but the trees wasn't touched early in the morning. What,
Yeah.
6 a.m.? Because this didn't happen till after 9.
I think it was actually 11 or something when he woke up and said part of it was gone or something.
Well, on the stand, he said when he got home early in the morning. When he got home
Yeah, to me, his whole story sounded just, let's just cover and you know, say that whatever. But I did like the way that he said that part of the concrete was gone. There was still more there. So there must have been a lot that they were supposed to get rid of, and they didn't.
Yeah, but do you think it's okay that he didn't go to authorities just because he had 2 kids? Listen, I was a single mom with 3 kids, and I damn sure would have went to authorities. I'm sorry, I would have. That's me.
Well, yeah, especially with everything they knew right away if they were looking in the area. You know, everybody knew that night that they were looking. So, yeah, I don't think it was too hard to figure out with all the details that was let out.
Yeah,
I think what's going to save Paul's wife is the fact that it was afterwards and she didn't know no pre-planning. But I don't think that there would be a charge that they could get her with because anything that he told her is actually not admissible in court. She doesn't have to even get up there and testify to it. You know, because she kept her mouth shut, that wouldn't get her a charge. It would actually, I mean, that's actually your spousal rights, you know, and I mean, that's why you get married, so you don't have to testify. You know,
I want to say this too. I used to talk to the family too, and actually, when some information come out that they didn't know, I paid somebody because you had to be in person. And they know who they were. It was one of my subs. I paid them to go get that information for me so I could send it to the family. I was always good to the family. Where Carrie is she's really close with the family now. So there's certain things that she's not covering because it hasn't been brought up, like the essay and stuff.
Right.
And because it was sent to me and I did see it and I do know what it said, I'm different. And that's okay that we're different. That's why you have different channels. I never showed you guys what it said, but I told you, I marked it out and it said Kansas Department of Human Resources or Children's Services. And at the bottom it said sustained, but it didn't have any names or anything like that on it. But I'm the type, I'm sorry if I hurt your feelings, but I'm going to say everything I know because that is important. I can't, I'm different. I'm not going to tiptoe around little things that are important. But
that's why my opinion is if Granny had that paperwork, which was, you know, something that you suspected, if she had that same paperwork, I could see her flashing that or bringing Paul over there and going, you got to read this. It'll convince you, you know, and I can honestly say
I heard from the remarks he made on the stand that none of the news covered. Some of the details he said on the stand is what's in that report.
So yeah, chances are that's exactly what happened. She showed it to him, and And here you go. This is the convincing. You know, I just honestly could see her using everything that she could do to convince him. You know, she would be one of those people that, well, this is what she's got it. And the way he explained, it took quite a while. In fact, it was even after the anvil fell before he was even convinced. And
Well, he said he was drunk and told him that he was part of a group that took care of kids and took care of people that would abuse kids.
Yes.
That he had killed somebody before, but he was drunk. And
Right.
then so that triggered Tiffany. She came to his house for a couple hours. A lot of things transpired out of that. But I'm sorry, at any given time, he could have backed out. Why
Yes,
did
he could have.
do that? To blame
He could have backed out all the way even to the end.
Yeah. I
If
think
that
all
gate
five,
didn't open.
this is my opinion, all five are equal to blame.
Oh yeah. I think they all should be locked up and not get out for life. That's what they all need.
Because any one of them could have stopped it.
Yep.
Any one of them could have stopped it. Also, knowing that they tried it on Veronica's birthday in February.
Yes.
You know, they thought she would go out for her birthday, and that's when they was going to do that. And if you remember, supposedly Cole didn't know till a day or a couple days before, because Tiffany didn't want Cole to be involved because he gets drunk and he tells shit.
Right.
So, but it does suck that I was the one that said, "Hey, the SA it's not an accusation. It happened."
Yeah. They just didn't follow through. The people moved out before they could even get treatment or something, or they moved the kid somewhere else.
Mhm. And the state of Kansas did fail them. The state of Kansas should have followed through with it.
Yep.
There's a lot that happened here, but I want to correct some things because I've seen it somewhere else. Wrangler never, ever, from what I can see and talking to him, ever had his kids taken away from him. He always had custody. Now, did Tiffany take over that custody even though they were in Wrangler's custody? Yes. Did Wrangler go several times to get his kids? And the police and good old KM supposedly was there and wouldn't let Wrangler have his kids, even though he had custody.
Yep.
And that came from him because I asked him. And I also had said, you know, poor Jillian, I still feel horrible for her family and her. You know, she was just doing her job. But I thought this was maybe her first day doing it. And Wrangler had told me he knew Jillian. That's who used to do it all the time. He hadn't met the one that his mom was using.
The Karen Bruner or whatever.
Mhm. He said he
Yeah.
never met her, that he knew Jillian.
Right.
So
Well, I'd say that was what
that shocked me. That shocked me.
Yeah, me too. Well, put it this way, there's a whole lot more, at least history. At least it wasn't. It doesn't make it any better. In fact, it makes it worse. But that Julian did know him. And sounds, you know, the kid. Yeah, so. Now I just wish we come up and say, "Oh, well, we found the gun and she unloaded it on him," or because I never laughed so hard when I heard that he got tased trying to tase.
Yeah,
Veronica.
Veronica
That made
tased him and numbed his arm.
Yeah, that made me smile bigger than anything. It's like,
Me too.
I bet she was whipping him like, sorry, I'm a redhead, like a redheaded stepchild, you know?
Right. Well, she's a redhead too, but
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
if you remember, it made his arm go numb, and he had her on the ground and was screaming at Cora that he needed help
Yep.
because his arm was numb.
Yeah, he was getting whipped.
And then
She was
supposedly,
him
the
over.
way I understand it, and please correct me, anybody in the chat, when he hollered for help, Cora gave, I think, Tiffany the stun gun, and she stun gunned her. Isn't that how that went? I don't want to make up anything, but I'm pretty sure that's what was said. Does anybody remember that?
I think I heard that particular comment, but like I say, everything's just been pieced together. Man, I'd love to have been sitting there taking my own notes and knowing what was this second, third people
Right.
and they're putting their own fisherman twist on everything.
Right. Miss Collector's Item said that she's talking about Beasley had been gambling all night long till 5:30, but she also says, but he also gave, I don't know if she's talking about Grice here, but I think so. He also gave dates that he had not done any meth. I
Who's
assume
the?
we're talking about Grice. Grice
Oh,
said,
Grice hadn't done any. That was.
I don't
I could
know.
see it.
The comment says, but he also gave dates that he had not done any meth. Are we talking about Grice there?
I could see him being all amped up on meth to do this. I could
And-
guarantee it.
And Carrie says, and according to testimony, Grice was in the trailer with him while it moved. I believe
Yeah.
because he damn near cut his whole pinky off. He was bleeding. They didn't want
Yeah.
that in any of their vehicles. That's what I'm assuming. I don't
Yeah,
know.
me-
That's an assumption on my part right there.
Yeah, I didn't hear that anywhere, but I guarantee you. Well, I can say the way that I heard it described was when him and Tad loaded up Veronica and basically pushed her in, and he was underneath, and then he just shut the door and locked them both in because they was wanting to get out of there. You know, they were in a hurry at that moment. But they still had to load up both of them, and yeah, man, it had to be. I don't care if it went smooth. It had to be a 15, 20 minutes on that corner.
There's a comment. I got to wonder about that meth. I saw some really good pictures of Granny, and then she looked really rough. And I did ask. Now, mind you, Wrangler was in jail and then straight from jail to rehab. Okay.
Right.
But I did ask him if his mom did drugs, and he said no. And I want to
Really?
believe him because he had no reason to tell me that
Right.
he would have told me, I believe, either way. But I did ask him. And I said at one point, supposedly there was, I don't know if anybody else remembers this, but they were saying that she had meth in her basement, and Wrangler said
Yeah.
no.
Yeah, that was
Wrangler
an early report that somebody come in on a live or something and said. I thought somebody said like possibly had somebody making drugs on her land.
I thought it was in the basement, but I asked, and he said,
Yeah, that's what I say in her basement, on her land. That would, like I say, that's what I was told. But that was one of the early ones that come into the group chat, I believe, that had made those comments. Said something about there was a lot of fishing stories told and things dropped in, but it comes to find out here at the end that a lot of it was true.
right. I want to address this comment real quick. Deb C. That was Brian Enton talked to a friend. It was not Beasley. It was another guy. But I know exactly what you're talking about. Remember they talked to that guy and he said what a great guy Beasley was, but it was not Beasley. It was a neighbor or a friend. I never saw anybody that got to talk to Beasley. It was a friend because I thought it was Beasley too, and I had to go back and look.
Yeah, I thought it was when it initially come out.
Yeah, I'll pull it up while we're talking. It was I want to say it was a neighbor.
Yeah, I think it was too.
But
the way he talked in that interview, he acted like he was the landowner. That was way early. That was like 3 or 4 days in, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, it was early.
And it was with Brian Enton too. It was Brian
Yes, it
Enton.
was. Yes, it was. I remember that.
I'm trying to find it, but it was a friend of Beasley's or a neighbor. Now, did you guys ever see let me play this while I'm looking for it. Okay. Did you ever see the News Nation release yesterday or day before yesterday with Allison, the producer? Have you guys seen that? Let me play that real quick. She is an attorney. She also came down with Enton all the times he came. And she is actually the producer, but she was there too. Let me show you. In case, because I haven't played it, I don't believe, for you guys.
Right.
Let me find it here. And I just saw it too. That's just crazy. Where did it go? Oh, here it is, right in front of me.
And he talked about how he had to.
Okay. Well, it looks like they started it in mid-sentence anyway, so.
And he talked about how he had to chase her out of the trailer, that he tackled her while he was trying to tase her. He numbed his own arm. Then he was on top of her. He didn't know what to do. He was starting to, like, his mind was melting down. It was just all a frenzy, and he started stabbing her. He pulled out his knife and started stabbing her. And it turns out that Cora Twombly saw that. She said she saw a motion that he was making of, like, with his arms going up and down. She assumed he was stabbing her. And then as he discussed this, as he talked about it, he said that that Veronica, and this is the thing that just, like, this really was awful, that there was no more blinking, and that the light, that the light came out of her eyes, and he fell to the ground. And he said that Grandma Tiffany, was walking around in a circle laughing. And it was the fullest laugh he'd ever heard. And that's when Veronica's dad screamed out the word bitch about Tiffany. The whole courtroom was sobbing. It got so loud as Paul tried to continue on with his testimony. The judge stopped the proceedings, and he really took control of the courtroom. All the lawyers went up to the bench. Then he asked them to step back. They had a conference really quick. And the judge said, this is an American courtroom. These defendants are entitled to due process, just as the state is entitled to it. And he cautioned and told everyone that was sobbing. It really had become a cacophony of just, like, total grief in there. I've never heard anything like it.
Oh my gosh.
And he told them to step outside if they couldn't, manage to control themselves, but nobody did leave.
Did they talk at all about motive? Obviously they're pinning this somewhat on Grandma Tiffany, and she seemed like the ringleader from all the reporting that we've done of God's Misfits and of the group. But did they talk at all about why they were convinced by her to do this?
Cora kind of scoffed at the God's Misfits thing, saying that it really was just something Cole said about how they didn't fit in anywhere and that they were God's Misfits. But I'm not convinced about that testimony yet. Yes, there was a motive. They talked about how Tiffany had repeatedly, Paul Grice actually went on and on about this, that she told him she had evidence of the sexual abuse of Veronica's children by her brother. This is something that we had reported earlier, that they had a video where the brother confessed to the sexual abuse, and that Tad had a huge document, 30-page document, that he kept locked in a safe at his house. And he said, I never asked to see anything, and that was my mistake. But that it was something that she preyed upon the hate in his heart, for having been abused as a child as well, physically, is what he alluded to. And that he did it, and he took responsibility for it. But Cora also talked about how it was heartbreaking and that she was sure the abuse was going to continue because the court system had not helped at all, except for having visitation. There was visitation with somebody, a supervisor. That's what Jillian Kelly was doing there.
So the fact, Allison, that these two have now turned and are testifying what seems like on behalf of the prosecution and telling the whole story of what they say happened, do we know, there's got to be a deal, right? Like, what's the motivation?
Oh, yeah,
now?
there were two. They both
Yeah.
had a deal, and they had to mention it. Paul Grice took a deal so that he wouldn't have to be, he could escape the death penalty. And Cora Twombly has a suspended sentence. She'll serve at least 30 years in court.
Okay.
Sorry. The other thing I wanted to say is this whole thing about Jillian Kelly, it turns out that Grice also killed her, that he killed her in the in the trailer on his way to the burial site, that she looked like she was alive. And Grice said her eyelids were fluttering and that he thought she's going to wake up alive in that freezer and it will be horrifying. So sort of intimating that it was out of pity, he stabbed her in the neck.
Yeah, and I remember, oh my God,
3 times.
I remember seeing the horse trailer. We went out there where they allegedly buried the freezer. If you can see this land, this is like right out of a horror movie. It's awful. So this was day one of the testimony. What can we, this is apparently going to go on for 2 more days. What else? It's already all this shocking stuff today. What do you think is going to happen tomorrow?
Well, I think it was shocking because we saw that different people weren't having preliminary hearings, and we didn't know that the reason Paul Grice's preliminary hearing was he wanted to go solo was because he had turned against everybody. Tomorrow we're going to hear cross-examination of Paul Grice, so he's going to be somebody's going to, for the other defense attorneys, for the defendants that are in there, Cole and Tad. It's kind of interesting. It looks like Tiffany, already declined. She actually waived her right to a preliminary hearing and also a speedy trial. So she didn't sit through it today. She was whisked out at the very beginning. Tomorrow, I think we're going to hear about the burial site, and we're going to hear from the owner of that land who leased it to Tad. And we're going to hear about what went down there. And I think it's going to be just as upsetting for the families. I've covered a lot of trials, and I know you have too. I've never seen anything like today.
Thanks for watching. Go to
you go.
joinnn.com
So,
to find News Nation
they're
on your
saying
screen. And don't
in the chat, I am paying attention to chat. I just wanted to let that go through. It was Paul Grice's, the one that Brian Inton interviewed was Paul Grice's landlord.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
right.
Beasley never did an interview, but also somebody said, wasn't it disgrace in the lady on the stand? No, Beasley did take the stand yesterday. That's my understanding. Beasley took the stand,
Yes.
and everybody in chat saying it was Beasley talking that he didn't do meth for a few days. So I want to make sure we get that right. So Beasley was
Beasley
saying
did that.
he didn't do meth. I don't want to be reporting wrong. So I don't think
Wow.
Grice said anything about meth. They're saying that it was Beasley said I haven't did meth, and the days he hadn't did meth. So if you're one that was there in the courtroom, or I think that's what they're trying to tell us. So
The plot gets bigger and more get involved, huh?
well, and I'm gonna say this too: if you wasn't in the courtroom,
Yeah.
you probably
that's what
don't know, because even Allison just now had it wrong. She's saying that Grice said he killed Jillian. From the way I understand it, is Grice said, I stabbed her 2 to 3 times because I wasn't sure if she was completely dead and I didn't want her buried alive. But the original thing that even was told to me was that Veronica was out. Grice came out of the trailer and started attacking her, and they got locked in the trailer and was going around. And Jillian got out of the car to go help her, and she got hit. This is what I was told. Hit in the head with a hatchet by Tad. Okay? I'm again going to say some of the things that was told before a gag order seems to be more of the truth than things that we're getting now. And that's because, the stories, sometimes we just don't remember them right. Okay. I'm not going to blame anybody, but sometimes we don't remember them right. So by the time we tell the story, say, I tell you, Christopher, and you think you've got it right and you tell somebody else, then you've got a pig in a trailer, even though that's not what you meant. But do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, you always add. That's the old campfire story, Time it goes around, it's real big. Got all kinds of special effects.
I want to address this too. Selena Coons. I absolutely do not believe Wrangler did know. And when they came up with the thing in February, Wrangler was in jail. Wrangler went straight from jail to rehab. He didn't get to go anywhere. He had to go straight to rehab. And his dad picked him up from jail and had to have him at the rehab at a certain time, or they both were going to jail. So I talked to Wrangler a lot. And listen, I had people hit me up last night that used to be my mods that I was really close to. And they admitted to saying, we never understood why Rock wanted to help Wrangler. Wrangler's out there. He's a victim too. And I have nothing that he knew anything about this. And I will stand by that. And if it comes out to court and they say, well, he knew, you know what? I'll apologize. But at this point right now, I'm going to say I'm 99.9% sure that he absolutely knew nothing. And I think he would have helped Veronica if he knew. He was in jail.
My personal opinion with the way she was trying to isolate the grandkids, I think if he would have been out, he'd have been gone too,
Right. Right.
That was how dedicated she was to getting these kids by herself, you know?
Well, you got to think about it. Okay, so this question says, I thought Paul only stabbed Veronica. How are they saying Jillian was stabbed with the same knife? Okay, he did stab Veronica, but we got to remember she had 30 stab wounds. Okay, that's a lot. Then he says that he was in the trailer and that he thought he seen Jillian's eyes fluttering, but it was a bumpy ride because they were in a trailer headed to Beasley's from El Road. So he said he stabbed Jillian, maybe 2 to 3 times because he did not want her to be buried alive.
Right.
So, so to SC Colorado Junebug, that's the way I understand it. I could be wrong, but that's the way I understood it. So I believe they're trying to say Paul killed both of them. I think Allison's wrong. I think the hit on the back of the neck, if you go watch Gavin Fish and he goes over the autopsy, that hit at the neck severed and it would have paralyzed her and she couldn't breathe.
That was one of the things that was done. It just, I didn't catch it was with the knife or not. So I'm going to have to go back and watch some more of that.
Well, yeah, I just played a little
I
bit.
can hardly stomach it. I can honestly say that's one of those reports that I only went through once and I didn't go through it again because it really was a disturbing one.
Yeah, Ostrich says there's a lot of other people who knew that people need to look at before they think of Wrangler. Yeah, what about the cooks? What about Grice's wife? He said he went home that day and told him he murdered these women.
Yeah.
He told his wife. And then they asked him what he was offered in the plea deal. If he was offered in the plea deal to save his wife from testifying, and he said no. The only thing I agreed to was to take the death penalty off. And the reason he was telling them what happened is because he felt guilty.
Right.
Now, they said that he met the detectives at Four Corners, and he told them he did it. And the only reason he didn't get arrested right then, they didn't have a arrest warrant. And he told that, and I could be wrong, and please correct me, but he told the detectives, when you get the warrant, I'll come in. The detectives called him when they got the warrant signed, and he did turn himself in. But he didn't get arrested then because they had no warrant. And that's what I don't understand. Listen, my kid's dad was a U.S. Marshal 33 years. And I'm telling you, there's always a judge on call to sign a warrant. They never let somebody admit to murdering people and let them go. So if that is true, somebody is a horrible LE. If he admitted to the detectives that he killed them and they let him go, they are horrible LE. Because there's always a judge that can sign a warrant. You all watch First 48 Hours, right?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there is always a judge to sign a warrant. Always. Even if you got to get them out of bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. It happens.
Yeah. Guaranteed.
So if that truly happened.
Yeah, I think that was part of the exaggerated story, maybe.
I'm telling you, if it comes out the LE law enforcement interviewed him at Four Corners and he told them that he murdered them and they didn't get a warrant right there and keep an eye on him, they let him go home, they're a horrible LE. Absolutely horrible.
Yeah, because if anything, after you just confess to the cops and they let you go and you don't skip country, boy.
You're a dumbass.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's why I say that there's so many things that if it was true, they definitely messed up. You know?
Not only that, they know the judges in the area, and I'm sure there's not a lot. But you got 2 women that got brutally murdered, and you got a guy confessing to it. You're going to get a warrant. You're not going to let him go. And then he's asking a friend, how do I get me and my family to Mexico or whatever he asked? How do you get a family to Mexico? Really?
Yeah.
I know I didn't just dream that either. That was it. Ostrich says, then Paul says, well, maybe it was 16 times. You know, he was in paranoia. Like, 30 times is a lot, 16 times are a lot. But I think they're going to narrow it down to that the hit at the back of her neck actually is what killed her.
Yeah.
But they are trying to pin both of them on Grice from what I see.
Yeah, I guarantee it. Yeah, he's going to get the whole book thrown to him, which is a relieving factor because even as young as he is, but 2 life sentences, he ain't getting out, and he ain't getting no.
Well, Grice already signed. I mean, listen, the judge still has to agree any of these. Okay, any plea deal, a judge still has to agree on it. Okay.
What was that you sent me earlier? Did they switch judges, or they're
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So that would be the best news heard, because if they make agreement with one judge and another one takes over, all the agreements don't even have to, it doesn't matter what they agreed to. Another one's going to sentence a judge.
Well, Jeter, I think his name's Jeter, Judge Jeter, isn't that who's doing it now? I could have the name wrong. Anyway, it was said all along that he would hear this, but the actual trial would go to a different judge, which is going to be the one I showed you a while ago.
Right.
Was you here when I showed that? Does anybody else?
I see that you sent it in Discord and I read it.
Yeah. Let me show that on the screen again, because right here it says on this is his waiver of preliminary hearing for Cole Twombly. And right here it says written on the side, waive to the maximum of life, suspended all but 30 years. Is that a plea deal? I've never seen a plea deal written on a side like that.
Well, let's put it this way. That's obviously how they do it in the hick country.
Oh,
if that's what they did, I guess, But like I say, that's some other judge's writing. If it's not the one sentencing, he's not going to be able to make it stick.
Well, they definitely, it's going to be a different judge from now. And I said this yesterday. I'll say it again today. I don't think there will be a hearing in January. I think it'll get continued. I actually see Tad waiving his right to a speedy trial too, because of his attorneys. But somebody I talked to today said he can't waive his right. So listen, I don't know the laws in Oklahoma, so I would assume that he can waive his right all the way up to the day, but I don't know. So
the speedy right. If he doesn't do it, they're under obligation to get him into trial within a certain amount of time. But that would be just him, because the rest of them have all waived it. So it would be kind of, I would think that he would want the clock helping him, because they probably already went past.
Now, I'm going to tell you, Dan Monnett's a damn good attorney, and I'm telling you right now, he'd waive his right to a speedy trial just so he could prosecute the case. A good attorney probably don't have enough right now to defend their client. More than likely, they're going to want to put it off. Like, I'm not surprised that Tiffany Adams did a fuck you to the family type of deal. I'm waiving it. But also a good defense attorney. Let's remember they're innocent until proven guilty, even though we all know what we know. But by law, they have a right to an attorney. And that attorney by law has to, even if they told that attorney that they did it, that attorney has to represent them to the best that they can.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's their job. Even if they know they did it, they have to be represented.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. They opened their mouth and got themselves there. I'd like to know if that fact of 16 of the same knife, where that came from. Like that was an exaggeration by somebody.
Yeah, I don't know. I wasn't in the courtroom. It seems like a lot of people are saying it differently.
That was Julia Thatcher that reported that in hers. It's like, that might be a little fish in there.
Yeah. Yeah. Also, Lauren will be going live too. What day is that going to be?
Monday.
Lauren and the attorney?
Yeah, Monday. It's supposed to be.
Monday. Yeah. So we'll go over that too. I really like that attorney she always has up with her too.
Yeah, he's real detailed.
Definitely. Well, he's an attorney, but I also watch Lawyer, Peter and his dad. And I like the way he breaks down cases. Listen, I'm not an attorney, and I like to see good defense attorneys up there breaking it down for us. So,
Yeah, that's probably the best money ever spent is a good defense attorney when they're working. Man, like I say, well, when I hired Monette years ago, there was a wall hanging in his office that had the top 10 attorneys in the U.S. and Johnny Cochran was like number 7, and he was like listed down like in the what do you say? He was considered list. You know what I'm saying? Monette wasn't the top 10, but Cochran was number 7. And that was
Dan Monette still practices to this day, and he's probably him and Charlie O'Hara is probably some of the best attorneys in Kansas, probably in the world. They're both really good.
Yes, they are.
Grandma Shelley says, I feel the only one really trying to get out of everything is Tad. Well, I think they're trying to put it all on Grice. And I might be cold-hearted, but I also feel like if you knew it was going down and you didn't go to Ellie, you're just as guilty as the one that did it. But that's me.
Yeah, me too.
That's how I feel.
Like I say, I don't believe any of them. It really, what do you say, gets under my skin thinking that even as late as the drunk come in to be included into it, he was still there. He deserves to be locked up till he's gone too.
Yeah. I want to say, I heard that Paul Grice said that in his experience in hunting, when he killed animals, that when he killed them, their eyes would flutter.
Right. I did.
But he couldn't be sure because it was bouncy in the back of the trailer, and he just didn't want her to be buried alive.
Right.
So, I mean, he also was in a big paranoia state. He thought they had just set him up.
Yeah.
So, because she says, I'm sorry to have to say this, but the twitching might have been as the heart stops. I think the muscles still twitch. And the way I heard it is Paul Grice said that when he hunts, that the animals twitch, and he just wanted to make sure. So,
you know, the best thing that I heard out of Paul Grice's statement was when they were accusing him of trying to save his skin, and he said his skin wasn't worth saving.
Yeah, my skin's not worth saving. Yeah.
That was the best comment. That it's like, man, at least he does know he is. Yeah, he's worthless. So that was the best recollection. If that wasn't true, I'd be upset that statement was made. But
okay, so Off Street says, I'm pretty sure Paul Grice's attorney was there. That was the other thing I found weird. Paul's attorney was not there yesterday. Are you sure? Because I think he was.
I think they all stayed there.
By law, he would have had to have his attorney there, even though he signed a plea deal. Listen, these plea deals still have to be approved by a judge. Most times, a judge will approve them if the DA's made a deal and they've made a deal. But there's been times I've seen judges saying, this is too sweet of a deal. We're not doing this. I have seen that. Not very often.
Yeah, I have too. Yeah, plea deals don't mean anything until sentence.
But I feel different too, only because of the rumors and different things that I've been told. I feel Buddy Leach was never elected as the DA. The old DA got ill, got sick, and had to retire, and they gave Buddy Leach that job. He also is the DA in Cimarron County, but he's never been elected to that position, which I believe it's an elected position. But even with that said, people said they saw the DA at Tiffany's, and the DA knows his people. If that's true, the DA should have recused himself. So, but he's an attorney. He knows what he's doing. So, I'm not going to sit here and say, hey, he needs to recuse himself. I'm just saying if he does know them on a personal level, a smart guy would say, hey, there's a conflict of interest here. You got to get somebody else. But anyway, that's my opinion.
Yeah, well, I think they're trying to get this all through before the other judge does take over.
Yeah. I think Tad's attorney will do just like Tiffany's attorney. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And the sad thing is I don't think they're going to be going to court April 16th either. So, I mean, trials can take, I mean, for example, Idaho 4, we're going on 3 years.
Wow.
And that's one guy.
And he's been in custody the whole time too, hasn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
No bail. No bail.
Nope.
Yes, Grandma
Yeah.
Shelley, they all need to be punished to the fullest. I agree, and I don't think they got them all.
No.
And I was told that Cooks's wife and kids moved out of state with the Cookses. She's living with the Cookses. I don't know how true that is. That was a rumor. So
Yeah, Paul's wife, you're saying, right?
yeah, Paul
Paul's
Grice's
wife.
wife, supposedly, her and the kids live with the Cooks, and I don't even know what state they moved to, but it's been said they moved. And that's kind of strange. I was when I was talking to Carrie today, I said, "Don't you find it strange that the Cooks moved when they just put up that brand new wooden fence?" Because we met with two guys that was friends with the Cookses, and they had told us a whole different story of what went on. It had to do with meat grinding and pigs, and it was horrible.
Right.
But they also said that they found it really strange because they said Barrett Cook, is that his name? I think it is. Anyway,
It
they
is.
said that they went to high school with him, and they was out bruise cruising, and they said that he had put up a brand new fence, a brand new privacy fence. So I think they got out of Dodge. Surely Ellie knows where they're at. I would hope. I don't know. It seems like everybody in that area was trying to go off the grid, be sovereign citizens. So I don't know. I honestly don't know where they're at. I can't even guess. But I heard they moved.
No. No. Like I said, I think the only thing, Paul's not, his wife really, I'm not going to say she doesn't have anything to worry about, but I think the spousal thing would cover her because no matter what
No,
he tells her.
wait a minute. He told her the day of the murders what he did.
Yeah.
So she was aware. If
Right,
my
but I'm
husband
just saying-
goes out and murders somebody and he tells me, I then become an accomplice if I don't turn it in.
Right.
Maybe Oklahoma law is different.
Yeah. There's certain privileges that if you commit a thing with your wife, or if your wife knows about it, she doesn't have to, she's not forced to legally testify because of the marriage.
Right. It's a spousal thing, but listen, what people don't understand is anybody that took a plea deal still has to come to court and testify on the rest of them. So right now, I don't know, that thing with Cole is weird. So I'm just going to say he's still going to trial right now, even though it's written on the side. It looks like he did a plea deal. So them three would still go to trial, and Grice and Cora still has to testify on the side of the prosecutor, the DA, in them trials. They're not free from testifying.
No.
And if they lie, the deal's off.
Yeah. They just started their involvement. If it goes to trial, though, if they get 5 of them, they got to testify 5 times.
Yeah. And Shelley says, I don't understand why so many plea deals, they already have all they need. A lot of times, they'll do a plea deal to keep the family from having to go through the trials. Even at 30 years for Cora, she's going to be in her 70s, older than that.
And she got another 10 other charge. So
And she got the other 10, so probably 40.
Yeah.
40 years, and she's 40. She's going to be 89. She'll never see the light of day. But also, tell me this, because you would know. If you do a plea deal, okay, so you're not on death row. You did a plea deal. Do they still, even though they're life in prison, do they still get to have visitors, like their kids come see them and shit?
Yeah, they could, because once you get there, you earn all that. As long as they don't go in there and be a citizen or, a prisoner that they take their privileges from them. You can earn all that.
So even
And
though they did these murders and took a plea deal, if they're not on death row, they could get visitors?
yes,
Oh,
yes. There
okay,
were several.
I'm
There,
gonna
there
throw
was a
up.
guy. There was a guy in Norton with me that had been there 28 years and had another 28 to do, and he was getting visits. I mean, like I say, as long as you don't mess up, then you don't lose that privilege.
I don't know. I just got this big pit in my stomach. So they're making plea deals so they can still see their family, is what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Like I say, the most treatment you get is to get there and family have nothing to do with you, because then it's a very long prison. There's nothing worse than watching everybody else have visits and you don't do nothing. You don't get to see nobody.
Well, that's like Dennis Rader.
Yeah,
His wife, Paula, she moved away. Dennis Rader was my husband's neighbor for 10 years, the BTK. But anyway, nobody came and saw him. And his daughter, Carrie, just tried to go see him like 3 years ago and was able to see him. But because she was trying to find out if he had did some murders in Oklahoma when he was there for ADT. But she was able to see him. So I guess I'm understanding now why they're doing plea deals, because they still might be in prison, but they'll still be able to get visitors.
Yes, they will.
Ugh.
Yeah,
If I was DA, I'd be putting in there and no visitation from family. Sorry.
yeah. Well, unfortunately, that probably go back. That's going to call under the law, just like supposedly the lethal injection was too mean, and that's a whole lot. I can think of a lot worse way to a gas chamber would be the way to go. As far as if I had a family, something happened, I want that dude to be gas chambered, because then you would actually have to actually breathe it in and feel the effects. Any other way, there's no effects of actual pain. It's supposed to be non-humane way of being taken. Yeah.
Well, with Dennis Rader, the BTK killer, the DA was Nola Folsom. She's still around. As a matter of fact, she does PFAs as a judge, and she is a friend of mine. When she did that with BTK, she also threw in there, because he was cutting out newspapers, like he was doing a lot of things. She put in there that he could not watch TV, he could not get any kind of newspapers or anything. So the DA could have, if he didn't, said, "Hey, we're going to go ahead and do this plea deal, but these are stipulations that can't happen." But still, I guess the warden of the prison would be the one that controls all that after that, right? I don't know.
Yeah, the warden could oversee that, or could say, actually, I think the Carrie visit to Dennis Rader was on special request, because she had gone in there to try to get information out of him.
Well, yeah, because they didn't want anything to do with him for a long time.
Yeah, she said he wrote her many letters, and she hadn't returned any letters or anything.
Yeah, so Grandma Shelley says that would only stop wife not to testify against Paul or Cora to testify against Cole, but they would have to testify against the other four.
Right.
So, but right now, everybody's did a plea deal except Cole, Tad, and Tiffany, and it seems like Cole could have did a plea deal. We don't know.
Yes. Yeah. No, I'm sure he was doing whatever. I'm sure that the reason that's wrote off in pen was because he was probably going, "I'm not going to do it if you're not going to guarantee this," So
yeah,
trying to get.
It sounded like to me that in court, Paul Grice said, "Well, the first time I was drunk, and the second time I just straight lied, but I'm telling the truth today and yesterday. I lied to you the first two times, but I'm telling you the truth today." And somebody said under oath, "Well, I'm sorry, when you get arrested, you're not put under oath. They read you your Miranda rights, but you can lie to them all you want."
Yeah, your Miranda rights doesn't say anything about you can't lie.
And you know how many times them detectives lied to you?
In fact, it's I believe there's a clause in there that says like best to your knowledge. It only it,
Right.
it goes.
But somebody said today that he lied under oath, and I have never seen anybody that got arrested and was put under oath while the detectives are interviewing them.
That's
That
not
just
oath.
sounds weird.
Yeah, that's just your Miranda. Has big difference between swearing
You
that
have the
you.
right to remain silent. Anything you say or do can be held against you in the court of law. You have the right to an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed to you. At any time when you're given this right, you can stop and ask for an attorney. It's not an oath. It's not an oath.
Right.
And I heard that, well, he was under oath when he lied to the detectives. Well, what are they doing in Oklahoma if they're putting people under oath when they're interviewing them as a detective? Because that sounds weird.
Yeah.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
No. In fact, best attorney will tell you just keep your mouth shut. You just don't say anything. Let them arrest you for what they can prove now, not later on.
Okay, Ostrich says, okay, his attorneys were there, but he said when he met with the DAs last week, his attorneys were not there. They might have been on, okay, they could have very well been on Zoom when they were doing the plea agreement. Because the attorneys, most of them's from Oklahoma City, I believe. And that very well could have been a thing that was done by Zoom, and he was there with the DA and his attorney there by Zoom. I guarantee you, if he talked to the DA, he also had his attorney there. Because that would be something his attorney would be there for. But it could have been done by Zoom.
By law, the DA cannot talk to that client without his attorney.
Right. But ever since COVID, things has changed differently. And that is rural. And I believe his attorney's from Oklahoma City too. I could be wrong. But I would say it was probably done by Zoom, but his attorney was right there.
I bet they did because he was in a different jail. So, it was probably a three-way Zoom call.
I don't know. I know people in here has been checking, but I'll be honest, Christopher, I don't think they ever took him back to Woodward. I think he's been here since the last time they brought him here. Because I kept looking and he was still in Texas County. Anybody in the chat, did you keep up with where Grice was? Because I tried, and every time I looked, he was in Texas County. I never saw him go back to Woodward.
Yeah, well, then they must have kept him there.
I could be wrong. Okay, she should get child abuse charges for having her Grandma Shelley. She should get child abuse charges for having her daughter and friend clean out that truck. I agree.
For sure.
Okay. Ostrich says no. He stayed in Texas County. That's what I thought. They never took Paul Grice back to Woodward.
Okay, then they could have talked to him. I doubt very seriously if he was just making the plea deal, because the way it sounds, he's been talking since day one he got in court. He's been working on pleas since the day he got there. And if he really admitted to doing it like they say, and they let him go, he'd been working on a plea deal since then.
Yeah. Well, he said he did it because he didn't want the family. He has remorse and he didn't want the family to suffer. That's what he said.
Oh yeah.
But have you ever seen the Texas County Jail?
No.
Let me show you real quick if I can pull it up. It actually has barbed wire. I mean, it looks like a fairly secure jail. Here's their jail, and it's got barbed wire up at the top.
Oh, yes, I did. I looked at that one time, and it reminds me a lot of it's a pod style jail where they have a control bubble in the middle of like 5 or 6 pods, and they look out of one. They've got a window into every one of them, but they're all at different angles, and then they lock them out with corridors like that,
See all that razor wire at the top?
They probably have a yard that they're supposed to let them. Yeah.
Our jail don't. Oh, the other thing is when I was playing Derek's stuff the other day when he was live, did you hear him bitching about that train?
Yeah, I did.
I'm
I
telling
did.
you, that train is a big deal to me. Who builds a jail away from the courthouse and has to transport these prisoners back and forth and has to stop for a train? I
Most
still don't understand
most
that.
time they want. If you build a jail somewhere close, you're going to make it at least within walking distance of the jail, because you're always having to bring people over. You have
Right.
transport and all kinds of things.
And this
Yeah.
isn't like it's an hotel and you're taking them to the airport. If they're in jail, they're probably not. Some of them might have been good people and made one mistake. But if you're in the jail, you're probably not a good person, and you have to go over to court. Why would you build a jail with a train between it that you can't get around? I
Most
tried.
places do it
There's
with like
no
a
way to
tunnel.
get around them train tracks, and they are busy train tracks, very, very busy. And the way that Tad looks every time he comes out there, it just scares the hell out of me that there's going to be an ambush.
Oh,
I always
I'd
feel like there is.
I'd love to be a mouse in his cell right now.
Yeah.
Boy, I could only imagine what's rolling through his head. Nobody kept their mouth shut. Now,
Do we know if OSBI got Cora's clothes from her closet? I have no idea, Debsy.
I did not hear that either. Chances are, with her admitting that, probably so.
Yeah.
If they went and found those cell phones after she testified, I bet honestly they're still gathering evidence. They ain't got everything yet.
I want to ask a question. So, is Daisy Dell in here? Because I didn't see her. But yes, Oblivious Benson is a good friend of mine. She's good people. We didn't block her, right? I hope not. She is a very good person, and she is a very good friend. And she has her own channel. She's great. Wow. Okay, Deb C saying, if they didn't get Cora's clothes, that's where possibly them phones could be. There is rumor that the phones are buried in a completely different place. But if I'm the DA, when I'm making this sweet deal, because I think she got a sweet deal, okay, I'm finding out where them phones are. And she's going to tell me where the phones are, or she's not.
Yeah, because obviously they said they went and found the ones that she admitted she put in some incinerator or something.
What? Who timed Oblivious Benson out? Seriously?
It's a time for 60 seconds for Benson.
Okay, Oblivious, it was an accident. I don't even see Daisy Dell in here. But no, Benson is and listen, Oblivious Benson knows that people make mistakes. But no, she is my friend. I didn't have my phone out. Oh, I see it. What the heck?
Yeah, I'm just really interested to get that lady from New York's outlook on this, because we've definitely gotten 5 different stories. If Derek's was going off, was that lady that was doing his supposedly sitting in the courtroom too?
Do what? One more time. I'm sorry.
Was Derek's was that up with the gal that was sitting in the court? Supposedly that was his court reporter sitting there doing his.
No, it's just a friend of his, but they didn't get to go inside.
Oh, they didn't. Okay, that's what I was wondering, is if that was another actual supposedly inside report.
No, they didn't get to go in. Them two and somebody from California.
Right.
And somebody said they thought it was Allison that didn't get to go in the first day. And that would have been the new station lady.
Right.
Because Lauren is from New York.
Right.
She sat right next to Carrie.
Right. You know, like I say, I would sure like to have my own way to hear that recording or that testimony. That's where we're getting a lot of either exaggerated or things out, because KSN saying same knife wounds, all that stuff, you know, where'd all that come from?
Right.
Unless they had matching knives. That'd be the only way you could explain that, and which is possible. I mean, I'm not going to say grandma didn't get them both knives.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But then there again, we're stretching it that all of those knife wounds were matched with the same one. Doesn't mean that fact was true, because I ain't seen any of that.
Yeah, actually, I was listening to a little bit of Hope's story that was with Derek. They do that. They're the ones that went that one last time, and they did a really good job. Hope and the other girl, and she
Yeah, that's why.
actually she knows Cole personally. Actually, she started to cry during that thing that Derek did that I just showed, and so it hits her quite hard.
Well, that's
But
why I was wondering if she actually was there, because I'd go back and listen to it if she was actually there.
they were there, but they were outside. They was not allowed in, and I believe they were only there the first day. I can't
Yeah,
speak for
no.
them, but I don't think they went the second day. The first day they froze outside. They said it was colder than hell outside, and they couldn't get in. So
Right. I'll have to check and see if poke in that one again. Her first one was really good. It was a very good. In fact, that was one of the better.
I thought
trials.
so too. I thought them girls did a fabulous job.
It was honest and very heartfelt.
Again, and I don't have any issues with Derek, and I'm a debater too, so I'm okay with it. But I do want to see. I want to see them photos that they saw. I want to see them crime scene photos. I'm stuck on it. I can't get over it. You know what I mean?
Me too. Yes, that'd be the things that let's produce that. Boy. It sounds like it's possible that there were some type of photos like that, but
I tried to and hide oblivious, but she must have left. But that's okay. But I never even saw Daisy Dale in here.
right.
So, and Patroness Glow, this We Stand Strong and Fight Kansas Moms, that is actually me. That's me on my phone in case it got crazy in here.
Right. I know what it was, that you made them fake accounts so you could get your likes up. I know it.
No. Sometimes when I'm on my computer, when I'm on my computer, if you could only see what I see, it's not
Right.
much. When you guys time someone out, I can't even see it. The comment still shows up. Okay.
Right.
But then there's a head mod job, and I'm a head mod, but you are too. But you should be able to untime out people. And you don't usually see me go to anybody else's lives or anything like that. But if I'm signed in on Rock Chalk on my phone and I'm live, it won't let me take control of I don't know. If you time someone out, it won't let me untime them out, and it won't let me time them out because I'm on the computer live. It's weird.
Right.
And it could
So
be
you have
because I'm not really computer savvy and I just haven't figured it out yet.
You're speaking to the wind here, because I've only figured it out a couple times. I timed people out a couple times and didn't mean to. It's like, how did that button work?
It happens. And I've said all along, if you want fancy bells and whistles, like a big introduction before I come on live, you're going to be disappointed. I'm just going to say. And when I'm not live, I'm not sitting here trying to figure out how to do productions and stuff, because to me, I don't want to waste my
What-
time on that.
What's
I don't
that
have
say?
to
Waste of time.
It would give me a
Simple-
headache and stress me out. So listen, I know the bare minimum to do a live, and that's what you guys get. And I'm sorry, it's not professional, but that's all I got. So did you have any other questions about this, Christopher? Because I want to make
No,
sure everybody.
I'm really, like I say, I'm waiting for the third opinion of the actual court to come out, because the way it sounds, nobody else is coming out saying they were there. I haven't seen anybody else testifying that they were there.
Well, I mean, that's a really small courtroom. You've got family, and in my eyes, family comes first. And then you had Tara and Carrie there inside. You had Allison inside yesterday, and I wasn't too hip on the interview we just watched with her. And then you got Lauren, but we won't know hers till Monday.
Right. Like I say, that's one I'd like to see and get the third opinion, because the other two suck so far. I don't think Carrie and them even knew what to write down.
I think they did a good job. Again, let me reemphasize, this is what's going on with that, Christopher, is they're trying to be easy on the family members. I mean, they're friends with the family members, and they're trying to be easy on the family members, where, Lauren probably won't be so easy. I get it. You know what I mean? I'm just not that way either. I'm not made that way. I'm going to report it the way I see it, exactly the way I see it. And there might be some things, because they are friends with the family, that they've left out. And I mean, it's their channel. It's okay. We'll figure it out.
I wouldn't have that feeling, except for they argued on their show about there was no comments made. There was none, they went into even trying to say that, and yet we've heard from two other people that there was comments made, and things like that. So they were even trying to cover up things that should have been easily.
Well, again, I think a lot of it is they're trying to protect the family.
Yeah, I understand the purposes, but don't turn it into a didn't happen to argument.
Right.
They went that far on it, because I watched theirs until that happened, and I was like, I'm out of here.
Yeah, I think you might be talking about when Allison said that somebody yelled bitch and the judge stopped stuff. Well, if you laughed during that, what happened is Tara actually texted Clint, and he said it wasn't me, and somebody else texted her and said, well, it might have been me.
Right.
So I don't know. This is how I do it. I go around and look at all of them, and I wish Court TV was in there. That's what I wish.
Yeah, me too.
Do it all ourselves. They were late one day, maybe both days coming back. I don't know. The judge started early, and they might have missed some things. I'm not gonna say I thought they did a good job. So, but also, I'm not necessarily friends with the family. I'm not against them by any means, but they don't like me anymore because of the SA thing, and I'm okay with that. But even if I was buddy with them, I'm the type of person, I'm going to tell you everything the way it is and the way it was done in there. But I see both sides to it. I've been told I'm rude and a lot of things, and it's not that. It's just I feel like you got to know everything, and the SA thing. Okay, I have never said that it was okay what they did. What I said was, if people just don't go kill people for no reason, something triggered it. Something's going on here more than, oh, I just don't like her and I'm going to kill her. Okay, there's more going on here than that. Yeah, she didn't like Veronica. We got it. We understand it. But there's more to this story. Is it right? I'm not going to say. I'm just saying. I read it.
Yeah, like I say, I can see
kill innocent people.
with her having that, I could see her I can see her having a laminated copy in her wallet that she showed everybody, you know. She didn't want that one to, because it definitely would have been a recruiting factor.
Well, you know, I'm a grandparent. I'm a mother. I'm a grandparent. You're a father. You're a grandfather. And I'm going to tell you right now, my nephew sexually abused 2 of my kids. And I wanted to kill him. And, you know, all my life I said, if anybody ever did anything to my kids, I'd kill them. And when it came down to it, I couldn't. Okay. But I can see where I could lose my shit if somebody was just abusing my grandchildren.
Yes.
But did I kill innocent people? No. I would have to go after the SA person than myself. But I'm not trying to get myself in knee-deep water here. I'm just saying how I would, how I
Exactly.
feel. And I would do everything I could to protect my family. Do I think Tiffany loves them grandkids? I do. I do think she wanted them grandkids for herself. I think she kept them away from Wrangler. I know she kept them away from Wrangler too. But the thought of Wrangler being in jail and them going to court and that Veronica could get them was too overbearing for her. But, you know, and I'm sure, just like we're hearing all these rumors, I'm sure Veronica said, well, now, let me just use a different name. Sue next door, her ex has custody of the kids, but he goes to jail and his mom's got the kids. Okay? So Sue's going to go get the kids because how dare the grandma have them? I'm the mom. Okay? So that's probably what was going to happen. You know, Veronica was going to court, Wrangler was in jail, and she was trying to get custody of the kids, and that just flipped her out. And Veronica probably told people, well, Wrangler's in jail, and I'm going to get the kids, and that probably got back to Tiffany, and she dreamed up all this craziness that's going on right now. That's what I'm thinking happened.
Yeah. Well, I can
didn't want
tell
Wrangler
you.
to have kids either, and I firmly believe that if Wrangler wouldn't have been in jail, he might have been in that hole too. But that's my
Yeah, that's what I believe too. And I'm speaking from experience because I actually had custody of my son when I got sent to jail, and grandma took over, and then mom come back, and yeah, so I've been in those shoes and know them laws really well, and it's what do you say, easy to see it, you know, or easy to feel that, but yeah, you're right. I couldn't have killed nobody. If and believe me, if it would ever got to that thinking in my mind, I would have come up with a whole lot better plan than this. I mean, wow.
Yeah, this is just crazy. This is nuts. An innocent lady. But now that I know that Jillian was the one before that was doing it, and Tiffany didn't like the way she was doing it, she started using this other lady. That also goes into the why because she didn't like Jillian. This wasn't Jillian's first day. Jillian had been doing it, and Tiffany didn't like how it was done, and she got a new one. And she didn't want the new one hurt. So she knew that they'd go to Jillian because Jillian did it before. I was shocked because I really thought this was probably Jillian's first time because the other lady couldn't make it. But when Wrangler told me, no, I know who Jillian is. And mom didn't like her. I know who she is. That's who did it. And I said, well, what about this other lady? He goes, I've never met her. So, I mean, I'm sure that'll come out too. But that would tell me that Tiffany didn't like the way Jillian was doing it. Got this lady. Yeah.
Yeah, she knew what she was planning and knew what was going to happen. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, Grandma had this plan for a long time.
And I don't think that, you know, when they kept saying 2 women and Jillian was her friend, I'm sure they were acquaintances. But Jillian, at the end of the day, Jillian was there doing her job, doing supervised visitation. That's what was going on. Because that's what the law required. That's what the judge ruled. You have to have supervised visitation.
Yeah.
It wasn't because she was friends with Veronica. It's because she was on the list to be able to do the supervised visitation. She might know her. They're from a small town. They might be acquaintances. They might have even been friends, but Jillian that day was doing her job.
Right.
Well, with that said, I mean, I don't want to leave anybody hanging. Does anybody have any more questions? Christopher, do you have any questions, comments, anything?
You know, like I say, I want to get this third opinion or this third version and see what comes out of it. And I'm gonna do a little more diving on that autopsy. 16. See, I don't. Like I say, that sounded 16 of the same knife wound. That sounded. Yeah, I don't know where they got that.
Yeah, I don't know either.
My deep dive is try to see where they come up with that.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm
of
going
course,
to tell you
maybe-
right now, Tad knew that they were going to kill him, and you're going to tell me he showed up there without any weapons? I don't think so.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And
either.
I do remember hearing it said that they decided not to use guns because that was too loud and they was going to use knives. So that would tell me that Dad probably had his knife too.
Like I say, I bet you they had matching knives. That's what I would bet.
Yeah.
If
But
that,
do you
if that
remember
was
that being said? They wasn't going to use a gun because they were too loud.
yeah, because no, it would need to be traced. Because once you shoot someone, ballistics will go back to a gun. You know,
Right. There was
You gotta-
many reasons
gotta
why
have
they
a
didn't use
burner
a gun.
gun. Got to have a burner gun to do a crime too, just like you do a burner phone. You know, you don't want anything traced back to you. And they
Well,
weren't smart enough.
if you buy a burner phone and you buy it with your credit card, you're an idiot.
Yeah, you're traced exactly. That's why I say none of these. They didn't do any research. It was like, wow, you should have went and got a stolen phone from somebody that was activated or something, and then you got a burner phone.
Well,
They
that's
went
the
and-
best part about criminals, Christopher. They're not very smart sometimes, and
Boy, I'm telling you, these
I
guys,
wasn't
they
very smart.
didn't think of anything.
No,
I
they
mean,
did not.
boy,
They was letting their judgment get clouded, and they had one goal and one goal only, and obviously that was to kill Veronica and Jillian, because they
Mhm.
knew that Jillian was going to be with her. So
yeah,
this is premeditated all the way. Premeditated.
premeditated. And like I say, the biggest one. How many times do you think that Cora revealed the plans before this? If CW knew about the one in February and all that too, boy, she was going home bragging to the. Maybe they were teaching a class there, and there was more of them.
You know, I'm glad you brought up CW. Okay, we're talking about a 16-year-old girl who lived with her mom and stepdad, and one of the mods, and thank you to the mod who did it, they were somewhere, and the horrible comments that was being made about CW.
Yeah.
She should be in jail. She's 16. She knew better. Listen, she's still a minor, living in her mom's house, under her mom's roof. You know,
Have to
and
do things for her mom to get to do anything.
not only that, listen, people say things like I said before, you know, if anybody ever did anything to my children, I'd kill them. When it came down to it, I couldn't. So for her mom to say, we're going to kill Veronica, and CW to go to the police and say they're going to kill Veronica, the police is going to say, well, we can't just go by what you said.
Exactly.
So to be dogging CW is wrong. She did go to the police. After you just because somebody tells you they're going to do something, you can't go straight to law enforcement because they don't got any. They can't do anything. There's nothing they can do with it. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, like I say that Cora would be the guiltiest one for including her in the plan, you know, and that would be a grooming thing. She would be basically teaching her daughter it's okay, you know, is what that would have been, and she's still a minor, so you know, there's no charges that would be there. In fact, it should be trauma. She should be in counseling for what her daughter or her mother did to her.
Oh, absolutely. But
'Cause I guarantee you,
comments
they'll never-
were horrible. CW needs to go to jail. She knows right from wrong. She was 16. Listen, if I tell you guys right now, I think I'll just drink and drive and go kill somebody. If you called the cops, they're going to say, well, we can't do anything till she's out drinking and driving.
Yeah.
Call us when she's drinking and driving. So it would have did CW no good. And the cops probably wouldn't have did anything. And if they did, if they would have went and talked to, say, Cora and them, CW might have got put in the damn hole.
Right.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. No, that's, I could see CW, Wrangler. I mean, they was going to take anybody out that.
Yeah. So to say all the bad things that I read in the screenshots, I don't know what channel they came from about CW, is shame on you. Shame on you. Because even if she would have went to the police, there would have been nothing the police could have done because nothing would have happened yet.
Right.
Yes, the police would have done nothing. Exactly. And honestly, who would think their mom would actually do something like that? Right. Listen, people say things all the time that they don't really mean. Okay.
Yeah. Them drunk fish stories. Them are the best ones. Get drunk and build a good one.
Right. Carrie says she agrees with Chris because remember, she wants to call you Chris. Wrangler probably would have disappeared too. Yeah, we all believe that.
I'm 100%. I mean, she'd already put him in jail for fake gun charges to get him away from the kids. So she knew that she was going to have just as much opposition with him.
Not only that, many times she went to get the kids, and she called Boise City Sheriff, Cimarron County Sheriff, and another person, and they wouldn't. Wrangler said they wouldn't let him have his kids, and they were in his custody. So L.E. was working for Tiffany in a way too, because by God, if a court order says that I have custody, their law enforcement is supposed to enforce that court order and give me my kids.
Yeah, I thought I was going to get kicked out of Carrie's just because I put that comment. I said, "Oh, so that call to arms meeting was a call to everybody to rob Wrangler of his kids and keep him from going there." And they're like, "We don't talk about the kids." I was like, "I'm just talking facts here." That's what that call to arms was. Yeah,
I want to make sure that Carrie knows exactly. She says, "For Christ to see her eyes, he was in front of her, not behind her." Listen, he saw her eyes. Christopher accidentally dropped. He saw her eyes. He didn't even see who loaded Jillian in the horse trailer. But when he saw her eyes flutter, it was on the way to Beasley's, and they were in the horse trailer. Is the way I understand it. I was not in court, and so I'm going by what I heard. But it wasn't outside the trailer, and the way I understand it, he didn't load Jillian. She was already in the trailer. So, again, if other people know differently, I'm not claiming to be there. I told you I wasn't in court yesterday. But the way I understand it is they had already loaded Jillian. And Christopher's phone probably died, honestly. But they probably have... he said that Jillian was already loaded, was the way I understood it. And I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. I don't think I'm wrong about that. So. Hey, Christopher.
Technologically advanced. It kicked me right back. My dog wants to wrestle.
So tell me what your comment is to this since she was gone. So Carrie Eden, for Christ to see her eyes, talking about Jillian, he was in front of her, not behind her.
She was supposedly laying in the corner, is the way I took it. So
but they were in the trailer, right?
Yes, that's the way I took that testimony. But like I say, this is totally speaking. I want to get another opinion because they didn't report on a lot of the facts that I would have liked to at least heard, let alone. And then to argue about when the facts were brought up by somebody else and get proved. Yeah, and then get proved that, well, that did happen. Well, that just took my believability out of that version. And I sure want to, like I say, I would have loved to been sitting there. I'd have went down there and camped out for about 3 days before just to get a seat if I had to.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you want to go to the trial, I know somebody that's got a bus and needs a bodyguard.
Well, I can tell you what, I'm down for it. I know that. Because I'm telling you, this is crazy. The versions that we're getting that are made up. I mean, I'm sorry, but don't make up stories like that or anything. And you don't cover facts that the best news I got out of her was when her saying that the family really just wanted life in prison. That's the most honest response that I wanted to hear. other than that, I didn't get anything out of their. Don't get me wrong, they had some, but it sounded to me like they missed most of it. And then what was being said, it was right next to them, and they didn't. Oh, I don't. Oh, that wasn't said. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, and I want to say right now, Christopher, you like going to Carrie's. You
Yes.
like going to that channel, so you're not trying to dog the channel. You like the channel.
No, I've been over there several times. I go, it's just honest. Like I say it.
You just
Just
want
don't-
everything.
Don't
You want
don't cover it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's
You're
get
so
the
used
truth.
to having rock. That's the problem.
Yeah, I want to know the honest what's said. If it was said or if it's in writing, I want to see it. I don't want to.
Right.
I don't want to get a covered up version. And like I say, even the Julia Thatcher with her putting that 16 of the same knife wounds out. That particular right there has got me to where I'm going to dig into. I'm going to have to see something that would even lead that statement to being true.
Well,
But
I mean, that's
believe
bothered
it.
you all day too. Just
Yeah.
that particular thing has bothered you all day. But there's a reason why we don't like watching mainstream. They only tell
Yeah.
you they won't get into the details. That's the thing. That's why I quit
Right.
watching mainstream.
One thing, I don't mind them getting into the details as long as they're accurate. But you're going to report something false. That's that you got to back that up before you come out with that one.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I say
You're
I can
talking
honestly.
about, let's make sure that you're talking about Julia Thatcher saying 16 of the same knife wounds. So
Yes, yeah, in Jillian that were the same exact as what was in Veronica. So what they were saying, her exact words were matching her exact same weapon. And she had it classified up like she'd seen something that did it, or they testified to it that day at that trial. I mean, if that was something that was said, then that's one thing. But I don't believe. Like I say, I want to know because.
well, I will say this: when you start covering a case and you make it personal with the family, it does cloud some judgment. Okay.
Yes.
Because they don't want it in the family. I get it.
Well, I can tell you that I'm not going to close this down without a prayer for everybody. That this is, I'm telling you, Father God, we got to come in here and when we say give some spiritual blinders that will protect our hearts and everything else, because these things they've devastated everybody, and the reason people are feeling is because they really do care. These are caring feelings coming out, wanting to know, and it's just. Wow, I'm like I say, I can only imagine. And if that outburst broke like that, man, I'm surprised that the father didn't jump I would have been over the fence in that courtroom if something like that was actually brought up and be like, oh, now I know exactly. Now I don't need to wait. Wow. Yeah. And Father God, please give everybody the blinders and the guides to only see the goodness of this come out and start the healing. And most importantly, get these children back to their father and their new stepmother, and a life can start being put together and things can go like that. And there's no way that these children are going to start to even understand, let alone if they ever will be able to understand, but they definitely won't be able to understand what they need to make it through life without their father being there. He's the only one they're longing to have them read bad stories. Amen.
Amen. So
yeah, I'm telling you.
Deb C says, like, I believe there are two knives instead of one. Paul brought one, then Dad had one. So where's the
I bet they were probably matching. Who knows? That's probably the one that I don't know. Well, they should have tested his wound. Paul.
I also want to make it a point, and to everybody, there's 87 people out there listening. Christopher is very, very passionate about this case. He has said that he was in a very dark place until this case came along, and he's put his heart and soul into this case. So he's really not trying to talk bad even about Julia or Carrie or anybody. He just wants to know what was said in there, and without court TV or somebody in there where you can actually see it, he just wants people that will say everything that was said and not just pick certain things out, is what I get, what I
Yes.
feel like you're saying. Because I do know you like Carrie. I do know
Yeah.
that when you see that Carrie's going live, you post it in the Discord, and I allow it. I don't have a problem with Carrie. I allow that to happen. So you're not trying to dog them. You just wish you
No,
knew
I haven't.
everything that was said in there.
The,
I
th-
get
the
it.
thing is, everything that I've got, there hasn't been a broadcast that I haven't seen. If there is, I go back and watch them. I'll tell you that.
Right.
My
And you
unlimited.
know everything about this case.
Oh man, if it's been out there, I have dug.
Right.
And if I, and most of the time it's taken me 5 or 6 times of listening to these things to catch everything. It's amazing. Just, I mean, like even when you replayed that audio you had the other day, I heard things that I hadn't heard, and I'd heard that audio 10 or 12 times.
Carrie said she's never heard that audio. I said I played it so many times, and I
Yeah.
have. I played that audio of Larry being taped and 6 days in, and how he talked to Beasley, and how he was going to make me stay at his house, and I could go to that property anytime I wanted, but I couldn't be by myself. I needed to stay at his house, and she has not
Mhm.
heard that audio at all.
Wow.
And I played
Yeah.
it a lot, a lot.
Yeah. That shows how many times she's listened to your show.
Well, I mean, she's got, in her defense, she's got things going on, you know.
Right.
She's got
Right.
things going on, and she does, she never did lives until this case. She always did videos and
Right.
her Facebook, and so lives are new to her too. And again, when you start making it personal and becoming friends with the family, it makes it harder to report on it. It really does.
And yeah, Carrie just put on there the knife could have flown out the window on the dirt road. Yeah, and the girl's phone. I don't think the girl's phone. They got it buried somewhere and wrapped because they had that covered. That was what they had to do. Wrap it in foil and then put it in a metal box. That was supposedly Cora's only job. And
Yeah,
she
well,
went,
I'm gonna say this too. We all know that Ellie knows these people, okay? They might not have known Grice, but they know Tad. We don't know. I know. Okay, there was a picture that was out there, and it had Matt Bully, it had KM there, and it had Matt's brother there.
Mhm.
That knife could be anywhere. I'm not accusing anybody. I'm just saying it could be anywhere.
Right.
I've seen things happen like that.
Yeah, because that was, I'd like to see the pictures from that Norm had, because I bet you that does have the crooked law offices there, because that stuff was gathered up too before.
It's
They were called.
I'm in shock that there's so much with this case. And listen, I love Ellie. I really do. But I also believe in holding them accountable. They got a job to do. And if you got crooked LE, you got to take care of it. And I'm going to say that 1,000 times. And there seems to be, why don't you have body cam? There's just a lot that just bugs the hell out of me with all of this down there. And it's not that I hate on LE.
Well, it's just like we know for a fact that Wrangler called from her Wrangler. That Wrangler was called from his mother in jail from a burner or from a cell phone. So we know that was in there, Yeah. There's just way too many little perks. And I guarantee you, I bet you money you ain't had to worry about him having a chain smoking problem, because they probably all had cigarettes and everything in jail.
Yeah, I don't know. After Matt made it a point to serve me with that bogus shit outside, and finding out from the Cimarron sheriff he had never seen it, and it went right through his office and somehow ended up in Matt Bowley's hand, I have a problem with it.
Right. Yeah, it shows how crooked everything was there.
Yeah, because
that's second.
and I had been warned. Why do you think I pulled up in that handicap spot and sat in my car? I didn't even get
Right.
out that day. I was told, don't come because you're going to be served with papers. Well, how did these people know I was going to be served with fucking papers? They knew.
Exactly.
I knew. I knew. I was not surprised when I saw Matt walking out there. Why? Because
Right.
I already knew. I'd already been told. That's some
Yeah,
crooked
and
shit.
shouldn't have been anybody but the paper server know that, and the
Right.
judge that signed it. You know.
Well, it had Cimarron County Sheriff on there. He never saw it. It went through his courthouse. He never saw it.
Wow.
When I filed the stuff against Tad's mom, of the incident that happened, they never sent that to Cimarron County. They sent it after I called Guyman Police, and they said, "Yeah, we've got the body cam, everything." They sent all that to that sheriff. The sheriff never seen any of that.
Wow.
It's crazy. It's just crazy. And it was a sergeant that talked to me with Guyman, and he said, "I don't know what happened to it. We sent it." Well, somebody stopped it. Somebody stopped
Well,
it. The sheriff never got it. So there's crazy shit that goes on. Okay,
Yeah.
so Winchester says this is also heartbreaking, especially for the family. I agree 1,000%. Everyone
Yes.
have a good night. Cora knows where the phones are. I
Yeah,
agree. I agree. 1,000% agree. And that should have been part of the plea deal. Show us where she told them where the burner phones were.
obviously it was. They just didn't lead her to the whole thing.
I don't know. I wasn't in there to be able to see her, but from hearing what I've heard, I have problems with her testimony. So I think she's trying to protect Cole. And I don't
Well,
care
to
if
be
you do
quite,
a day before or 3 days before or months before.
to be
Any
quite
one of
honest
them
with you, she
5 could have
did.
stopped it. Any one of them 5 could have stopped it that day.
Yeah,
And they
she got her wish because she protected him and CW, which she should have protected CW because she's the one that drug her into it. But she got what she wanted done and is sitting way better. Because I'm sorry, but the conspiracy, she should definitely have 2 of them charges. And man, I mean, she should be facing at least double the sentences she is.
Yeah,
Like I said,
that's a
like I
sweet deal
said,
for her, but at the end of the day, she's never going to make it out of prison. We know that. She's never going to
Well-
make it out of prison, but I think they should have made her tell where the phones were too. I don't think they should have signed such a sweet deal without knowing. And Carrie Eaton says it would really suck if any of them get off after the fact by appeals for conflict of interest. And I'm going to have to agree.
yes, ain't that the truth? Wow. There's so much of that.
Yeah, I agree with that. There's
Yeah.
rumors that Buddy hung out with Tiffany. I don't know. I don't live there. So I can't. There's rumors that she dated Kevin McIntyre. Again,
Yep.
I don't live there, but the person, several of them, they live there, they know. And I'm telling you, the people in that area in Keys, Boise City, Guyman, Elkhart, they know. Derek didn't lie about that. They knew and they know. That's not a lie.
Yes, they did.
And even several other people, both Larrys, they knew. The one Larry's son that was 14, he even knew. So everybody knew. So when Derek says, well, Rock, you came here and we all knew. The police knew and we all knew. He's right. They all did know.
Yep.
And the police knew too. And if the police knew everything like they say they did, why did it take 14 days?
They wasn't even going to do it then.
I don't think so either. And I've said that for a long time. They were moving like snails, for one. And if they actually had all that information, was it being hidden from OSBI? I don't know. But this guy goes and kills a CEO in freaking New York and gets arrested in Pennsylvania, and they've already got the DNA back and everything. in a day.
Yeah. Yep.
And it took us 14 days.
Yep.
This is crazy that if they knew that day what took 14 days to arrest these people. And again, to say that Paul Grice met them at the Four Corners and told them
They let
he
him
murdered them, and they sent him
Yeah.
home because they didn't have a warrant, I call bullshit all day long on that.
Yeah, I do too.
There's always a judge around to sign a warrant. Always a judge around to sign a warrant.
Mm-hmm.
That just makes no sense to me.
Seeing how
I
many,
know
how,
I'm in a bigger town. But believe me, if they're at my door and they want to get in, all they got to do is call a judge and they got a warrant right there. It's that quick.
so was that interview then before they arrested the other ones? Or
Yeah.
when was they saying Paul's interview
No,
was that they
it
go?
was after they arrested them.
Wow.
And
Yeah.
they had him in there, and he was drunk and lied. And then the second time, they met him at the Four Corners. They told him that his name was being tossed around and his DNA. And he admitted, this is the story that was supposedly told in court. And he said,
Yeah.
yep, I did it. And the only reason he didn't get arrested is because they didn't have a warrant yet. But he
Yeah.
told them, I'm going to go home, and when you get the warrant, I'll turn myself in. And they got a warrant, and he did turn himself in. But nobody lets a murderer go because they ain't got a damn warrant, and especially L.E. That makes no sense.
No.
It makes no sense. Carrie says, I thought from the beginning that there was a cop involved on some level. Listen, if you ain't been watching my show, if you've been watching my show, you know what cop I said is involved.
Yeah.
And nobody seems to see him at all anymore. You don't hear about KM at all.
Mm. He got moved out of the area.
No, he still lives there. He still lives there. He lives in Keys. So does his in-laws. This is crazy. But there's nobody investigating the LE here. So, I mean, I've been to Oklahoma City 3 times. I've talked to the Attorney General. I've spoke on what I think. So, or maybe they're watching them, and hell, you never know. Maybe they're putting videos in their cars. I don't know. I mean, look at that judge that had video in his damn chambers. I've never heard of that either, but somebody put it there.
Boy, I seen they had a report the other day on that one too, where supposedly his college roommate was convicted after they were in college and stuff with this. So the guy that the judges used to be college roommate that he lived with.
We're talking about the Kentucky case.
Yes, yeah.
Right there. That's the sheriff that shot that judge. Sounds like to me he was running a brothel out of his chamber.
Yeah, it sounds like it was going on for a long time.
That one's interesting because I'd like to know if the sheriff is the one that actually put video in there, because his daughter worked for the judge. All of that case is crazy, and I do try to stay on top of it and watch it. Deb C says, I agree to Carrie. This is why none of the police wasn't looking.
Yeah.
They were not out there looking.
No, they weren't at all. They didn't want to solve this.
Well,
they wouldn't have solved this if they wouldn't have had cameras in their county. I promise you.
Right. Well, you heard Hope on Derek's stream. She says, I've lived here all my life, and if the YouTubers wouldn't have come out here, boots on the ground, this would have been swept under the rug. And she's a local.
Yeah.
They know.
Yeah. That's just something else to write off. I don't even know if they make reports on it. If it doesn't go past the county's desk.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not a state investigation.
Well, I just think that the state of Oklahoma gives their sheriffs too much power. And it's, for the life of me, how are you a law enforcement officer that gets grand jury indicted and lied and said the place was broken into? Anyway, you get indicted, and then you end up being the head DA task force officer. when you
Yeah.
had an indictment and you were charged. That's the end of your LE career, but not him. He just moves way down where they'll allow it to happen. There's a reason why he moved from Ardmore all the way to the Panhandle, because that's the only damn place they'd hire him.
Yep.
Nobody would hire an officer that was grand jury indicted. That's just crazy. But in the Panhandle, in Guyman, they will.
Yeah, don't take big requirements there.
In Guyman, they will. And it really bugs me because Guyman Police helps Texas County Police with doing these prisoners. And Guyman actually wears body cam, but not when they're doing these prisoners. So
like they're not allowed.
Is the sheriff having them take off their body cam?
Yeah, you'd have.
They have it on all the other time.
Yeah. You can't bring that in my courthouse. We don't allow that. You know. Wow. Yeah, it's definitely.
I don't understand. I think every law enforcement should have body cam. Every damn one of them. And Texas County has them. They just don't wear them. I have a problem with it. And if you live in that town and you don't have a problem holding your LE accountable, then you are no good. You're no good.
Well, all the way down to even when they first went to investigate the car, that first cop should have had a body cam on right there. Then we'd have known what was actually there.
Oh, so Beach Baby says Keith has had drones over it. Let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about that. There was one night, it was when I was still watching the Four Corners and I slept in my truck. I've never slept in my vehicle before, but I did a couple of times, okay? Because I really thought that somebody was going to try, something was done at Four Corners too. And I was parked in the ditch. Well, anyway, one night, there was some people that came. I'm not going to say their names. There was a drone over us. And one of the ladies was freaking. We could hear it. We could see it. She was freaking out. Telling her friend, get in the car. Get me out of here. And it was actually Amanda's friend that was driving the car. And the girl in the front seat I'm friends with now, she was freaking out. Get me the hell out of here. I want to go now. And there actually was a drone. And later on, somebody came in the chat and said, oh, that was my brother flying his drone. Nobody lives there.
I remember that. I remember that dude coming into the chat on that one.
Yeah. Dude, that wasn't your brother flying a damn drone. We're in the middle of nowhere. There's no houses. And even the house that we're at is vacant. There's a horse there, but nobody lives there. Okay?
Right.
And then there's this drone over us. I saw the drone too. There was a drone. You can't tell me that it was probably LE that came into my chat that day and said, oh, yeah, my brother was flying his drone there. Well, where the fuck was your brother then? Because nothing's out there on that corner. He must have, is he military? Because he must have one hell of a drone if he's clearing Keys or Guyman and he's able to get the Four Corners with a drone.
Right.
I mean, come on now. I mean, we have a DJ drone and it's a good drone, but I'll tell you what, it can't go that far.
Right.
But LEs can. Anyway, I'd actually, Beach Baby, I'm glad you brought that up. I even forgot about the damn drone that was flying over us when we was at the Four Corners. 11 o'clock at night and there's a drone in the air. It was nuts.
Right.
Totally forgot about it. That's crazy.
Right. Well, my little one's telling me I need to take her outside.
Yeah. We're ready to wind down. And listen, guys, I know it hurts because it hurts me too. I have a hard time sleeping. We just got to hope and pray that justice does prevail and that nobody gets off on a technicality or anything like that. And that there isn't other people involved that maybe, like you said, where's the other knife? You guys made a good point. I wonder where the other knife is.
Yeah.
And yes, Kevin McIntyre is on the list to testify. That's going to be interesting. Or are they just going to give everybody a sweet deal so that you don't have to take the stand? I don't know.
Well, that would save it from being a perjury. That'd be the best news there. But I'm sorry, but I don't know why they would even go to giving this deal to Twombies. I'm sorry. There's no way that this should be that good a deal. That's what's got me.
It is crazy.
That's crazy. Why would you give any type of plea deal to any of them? Take the death penalty off. That was all we asked for. And the others are going in there getting this and they're signing it. That's just showing me the crookedness all the way to the bottom, because there's no way that you'd ever let any of these guys off of. In fact, you'd still be stacking charges. The more you find out about this case, the more charges. I mean, there should be way more on Cora, way more. It just, yeah. Well,
not only that, it's bullshit for them to say Paul Grice said that he did it and he did the murders, but they didn't arrest him because they didn't have a warrant. Supposedly that was said in court. I wasn't there. I'm only going by what people said, but that's great.
That's why I want a real life account of this. This is hard to talk about when you can't put an actual testimony, and it was supposedly somewhere it was tested. This has all been documented. We should be able to get can you get the transcripts off of that? Off that court hearing? What would it take to get that position? Because, don't get me wrong, I know it's expensive, but I'd like to have the transcripts from that day. See what exactly.
You could get the transcripts. It would cost you, but you could get it because there's a court reporter in there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That would be
unless they're sealed, but they let people in the courtroom. I don't know why they'd be sealed.
There's no way sealed.
I bet you before we can ask for them tomorrow, they're sealed.
Yeah.
Because you should be able to. That's just like when I went to court with Lori Sue. Anybody out there, the judge said it. You can buy the transcripts. The transcripts will be ready at the end of the day. So I don't know why you couldn't get the transcripts to that unless.
Well, I'd sure like to hear the transcripts of actually what Paul testified to and what the attorneys were objecting to. And yeah, I don't, like I say, there are too many hearsays, and we shouldn't be in the hearsay portion of this because everything's recorded.
That's right. And everything, listen, you're right. It would be in the transcript.
Mm-hmm. Then we know. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the court reporter, she's not dedicated to writing down comments if the family made them, but she's anything that's legally that person testifying or the attorney, she's supposed to write down, or transcript down.
I'll call, I think her name's Renee. I'm pretty sure her name's Renee. I'll call her tomorrow and ask her what it takes to get the transcript, because that is exactly when I was getting all the court documents. She was the one I'd call and she was the one I'd pay to get the documents, and they'd email it to me. But you're correct. There would be a transcript. Absolutely would be a transcript.
Yeah, that would solve the whole. We could get rid of all these what if questions, or what if it really wasn't said.
Right.
And what he actually, because like I say, I'm sure he supposedly testified to the stabbing. He supposedly testified to.
It's Renee. Her name's Renee. Yeah. I just looked it up. It's Renee because I'm looking at my emails and our correspondence back and forth. But Renee is the head over all that. I'll call her tomorrow and ask her what a person's got to do to get the transcripts.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Because I think you're right. I think we ought to go over the transcripts.
Yeah. It's the only way we're going to put another tooth in this one being done, because that's crazy.
Well, like I said, there was more people in there than Carrie and them. I mean, there was a lot of people in there. Because I talked to somebody else that was in there that's not Carrie or Tara. So, right. I mean, there was people in there, and they told me other stuff that was said in there that I had not heard anywhere.
Right.
And one of them
we won't have to worry about this next time. I'm going to be sitting in there. If I got to go there and camp out 4 hours early or 6 hours early, I'll set a tent up at the front door.
I'll go with you. We'll take the bus.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that's the only way we're going to find this out, and I want to look them in the eye when
Well, I'll go to the trial. I'll let you listen. You're like an elephant. I don't like that courtroom. So if it's in that courtroom, I'll stay outside and film, and you can go in.
Oh, I promise. If it's said, I remember it, and I'll be able to tell it to you the straight way, not the goofy way.
And I'll order you an Uber from the bus so they don't know you know me.
There you go.
Because if you show up with rock, you're going to jail. I'm just going to warn you. You'll have to have an Uber pick you up.
If they put me in jail there, I'd be happy. I'd talk them right into population. I'd get in with one of them guys for a day.
Oh, God, I'm going to start saving my money. I'm going to have to bail Christopher out of jail.
It'd be well spent money, man. Yeah, I guarantee
Well,
it.
honestly, it'd be the only time Ellie there does their damn job. My opinion.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. There's no way that, man, like I say, I'd like to see from the cop that pulled up to investigate that vehicle. That's from that particular point on. Then supposedly OSBI was called. I mean, they probably had the vehicle out of there before they even, I don't know, like I say.
Well, I tell you what, my neighbor has a Jeep and he's military. I'm not going to tell you what his tag says, but it's not Kansas. I'll trade Jeeps with him so that we don't have a tag from Kansas on it.
Right.
There we go. Good idea. He's got the same Jeep I got, but he's military. He's stationed out at McConnell. He's got the same exact Jeep I got, but his tag is from the state he's from. Because military, because I didn't realize he was military. I said, how come you don't got a Kansas tag? He said, because I work at McConnell.
Right.
I said, you're in the Air Force? Yeah, I'm active duty. Well, yeah, absolutely. Military does not have to change their tag. I'll tell them, you take my Jeep for the day and let me take yours for a couple of days.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like an antique tag. You only renew it once.
Right. Well, I remember when I was stationed at Redstone, Alabama, I didn't have an Alabama tag. The 6 years I was there, I had a Kansas tag, so makes sense now. But I didn't know he was military either.
Right.
Interesting. Well, I know you got to take your dog out. And I know, listen, guys, I know it's been 3 hours. Again, the chat will be gone as soon as I'm done. The chat will be gone. But if you need to reach me, you can always reach me in the comments. And Christopher, you know how to reach me. And do not let this eat you up. Okay? Do not let it eat you up. Everybody out there, I know this is really hard to hear. But listen, getting yourself all down and depressed is not going to be healthy for you. It's Christmas time. You got family, you got things going on. This is a huge case. But best believe me and Christopher's on it. And all you guys, we're going to hold people accountable. I don't know what else to say. I know all that was really hard to hear. You kind of got to push it to the side a little bit. Because dwelling on it is going to eat you up.
Yes, and not knowing the truth.
We'll go to the next court date. I'm going to hold you accountable to it.
Righty. I'm down. My dog's saying, I got to go now, Dad. Let's go.
Okay.
Talk to you later, guys.
Okay, Christopher, much love to you. And you have a good morning because it is morning now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Have a good night.
You too.
Take care, people. Hold your family.
Thank you. Thank you for coming up, Christopher.
Yep. Take care, family. Everyone sleep tight and know this is going to be taken care of. And they ain't getting away with it. Have a good night.
You too. You too. Again, guys, I'm out of here too. Thank you to the mods, everybody that's been in here. Again, you know how to reach me. You can always go in the comments on my channel to reach me. If you're having a hard time with this and you just need somebody to talk to, hit me up. I'll be there for you. Much love to everybody. And we are going to go ahead and end this stream. Take care. Have a great weekend. Got bare knuckle fights tomorrow and some UFC fights Saturday. But I might try to go live. But if you're subscribed, you'll get a notice saying, and I'll try to quit doing this drop-in last-minute stuff for you. I'll try to get them scheduled. Okay, guys. Much love to you. Have a great weekend.